Dallas Cowboys stood atop the football world, jubilant in the celebration of their world title. But this summer, a huge part of their heart was not with the team. Emmitt Smith stayed out of camp without a contract. 10 days ago, he signed, and today, he makes his first start of the '93 season at home. A full house is on hand at Texas Stadium as the Green Bay Packers come to Irving to take on the Dallas Cowboys. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Vern Lundquist along with Dan Fouts at Texas Stadium. Two teams who come in with identical records, 1-2, but such different attitudes, Dan. The Cowboys are almost buoyant because of the return of Emmitt Smith.
And well, they should be. Jimmy Johnson told us yesterday that as a player, Emmitt Smith is so vital to this football team, but he's also well respected and liked by his teammates, and we all can remember just how many times that this man has pulled us through.
The Green Bay Packers have lost the last two times out in heartbreaking fashion. How do they overcome that, and how do they win today?
Well, Coach Mike Holmgren told me yesterday, we just got to let it fly. We got to be aggressive on offense. That means getting quarterback Brett Favre out of the pocket, perhaps, and we've got to stretch the defense deep by throwing to Sterling Sharp. But also on defense, look for the Packers to be more aggressive, perhaps blitzing more in passing situations.
It rained overnight in North Texas, and the skies are cloudy. That is why the field is damp. No threat of rain immediately. Temperature in the upper 60s. Corey Harris, #1 in the league in kickoff returns, will do that chore now. Nope, it's going to be Darrell Thompson for Green Bay, and he's got some room, a lot more. And here's Eddie Murray, who has to dive down, and Thompson stopped and was touched. Now there is a flag back on the play.
The flag is going to be offsides against Dallas, Vern, so this return will stand. But what happened, it looked like number 44, Dexter McNabb, tripped up Thompson. That's why you saw Thompson get back up on his feet and run down the field.
Corey Harris leads the league in returns, and that time it was Darrell Thompson who's back as a personal blocker more often than not. Here's Tom White.
Offsides. Number 37 on the kicking team. The penalty is declined. We take the result of the play, first down.
Packers open at their own 45-yard line. Brett Favre, who has been bothered by the blitz the last 2 weeks, expect the Cowboys to come. Second year as a starter now for the Green Bay Packers. First time that Favre has ever played in this stadium. First down from the 45. Sharp is in motion. They hand it off to John Stevens, and he gets a couple. Let's check the Packer offense now. Along with Favre, you've got a front line of Rutgers, Frank Winters, Rich Moran still injured, Campen, Galbraith, and Tootie Robbins. John Stevens and Edgar Bennett both played very well, especially early last week. Sterling Sharp and Mark Clayton are the wide receivers, and Jackie Harris is the tight end. Second down and 8. Ball at the 47. Favre, short setup, finds his tight end Jackie Harris, and that will be close for the first down at the Cowboy 46-yard line. Ken Norton, the new middle linebacker, makes the stop. For Dallas, it's Haley, Russell Meriden, Casillas, and Tony Tolbert. Up front, it's T-O-L-B-E-R-T, not Tobert. Darren Smith, Ken Norton, and Dixon Edwards are the linebackers. Norton, the new middle linebacker. The secondary, Brown and Everett, Woodson, and Kevin Smith. Third and 1. 3 tight ends now. West and Chimura join Jackie Harris. That's Chimura in motion. Edgar Bennett moves it across the 45. First and 10, Green Bay.
That excellent return by Darrell Thompson gives Favre and the Packers obviously wonderful field position. And look for Favre and the Packers to be more aggressive with their pass offense. Favre said he wants to use a couple of bootlegs, a couple of waggles, get away from the pressure. But they also know it's vital that they have to force the ball down the field to open things up for their short passing game.
In each of their last 2 games, they have scored on the opening drive and lost both times. Into the flat, out of the backfield, Edgar Bennett. And he moves it inside the 40 to the 39. Kevin Smith and Dixon Edwards make the tackle.
Talking to Bennett yesterday, he says he's got 3 roles on this football team. Number 1 as a runner, number 2 as a blocker, and number 3 as a receiver. And he had a wonderful game against the Minnesota Vikings doing all 3 of those things just a week ago.
2nd down and 5. No score, opening drive of the ball game. Blitz is threatened. Here comes the blitz, and they try to sweep to the right side. Cowboy, John Stevens, the ball carrier. And it's Darren Smith in his first start as a pro, number 59. He played for Jimmy Johnson at Miami, and he makes the tackle.
The sweep is a good call against the blitz, but when you have speed from the left side, we're going to see number 59, Darren Smith, run this play down. Cowboys pride themselves in having great team speed. Smith is just a rookie, but one of the reasons Jimmy Johnson wants him in the lineup is he runs a 4.4 40.
3rd and 5, no score. Double tight end set for the Packers now. 1 running back, that's John Stevens. Sharp to the right side, Clayton to the left. Jackie Harris in motion. No blitz on the line. Sterling Sharp makes the grab in his 84th start for the Green Bay Packers. Last year's leading receiver in the NFL with 108 grabs.
Perhaps the most gifted zone pass receiver, should we say. Look how he finds the hole between all those secondary men. 4 of them converge after the catch, and that's important for the Cowboys because nobody runs better with the ball after the catch than Sterling Sharp.
2nd, 3rd down conversion. It's 1st and 10 at the 27, make it the 28. Not 27-yard line officially. Here's a reverse to Sharp. Casillas just misses him, but then some pursuit catches up. Dixon Edwards, or rather Darren Woodson, made the stop. That's a loss of 5.
That play took too long to develop. By the time that Favre finally handed it off to Sharp, Casillas was in the backfield with great penetration for Sharp deep, and that made an easy play for Woodson to push Sharp out of bounds for that loss of 4.
2nd and 14. Stevens, the motion man. Favre, left side to Bennett. Winters with a block. Bennett inside the 20 and out of bounds at the 11-yard line. Edgar Bennett, who said he wanted to catch about 70 yards worth of passes today.
Yeah, his ideal day would be 50 rushing and 70 pass receiving, and a whole lot of good blocks. Here's a good block here by number 75, Ken Rutgers. He'll run Haley all the way up the field, keep him away from Favre, and create a nice throwing lane so Bennett can see the ball easily and then get all the way down to inside the 15-yard line, almost to the 10.
That's a gain of 20. The Packers have a 1st and 10, and they can get a 1st down without the touchdown. Stevens bounced at the 10-yard line.
Yeah, the Packers got the great return by Thompson, and this is another good opening drive for the Packers. They've done this in each of their 3 games. They've got to finish this one off with a touchdown to make it 4 in a row where they've scored on their opening drive.
Mike Holmgren's team won the first game of the year 36-6 over the Rams. Lost to Philadelphia at home on a last-second field goal and did the same last week on the road in Minnesota. 2nd and 8. No score, opening quarter. Sharp in motion left side. Quick setup into the right flat from Mark Clayton. He had 1 grab last week, none the week before that. He's been almost an absent member of this offense. His new team, of course, he played so many years in Miami.
One thing that all the Packer opponents know is that when Sharp goes in motion, the reason Holmgren's doing that is to get him off the bump and run, to give him more opportunities to catch the ball. That time Holmgren and Favre changed things up. They put Sharp in motion to the left and threw the quick out to a wide open Mark Clayton to the right.
3rd and 2. Bennett and Stevens back in the backfield. They split 2 wide receivers right side. Clock was down to 2 seconds.
And our first example of a bad rule by the NFL, that 40-second clock, costs Favre and Holmgren a very expensive timeout.
9:05 remaining first quarter. Packers on the 3.
Defensive back coach Jim Eddy up in the box, working with a new middle linebacker today, Vern. Ken Norton moves from the weak side to the middle. And it's amazing that the Cowboys just won the Super Bowl a couple of months ago, and they have 3 linebackers in this lineup today that are playing that didn't play in that game in these positions.
And they are now facing a Green Bay team that has a 3rd and 2 at the 3. They can make a first down without the touchdown. Jackie Harris in motion. They'll throw it, and it's caught at the goal line. Is it a touchdown? No indication yet. No TD, but it's a first down. Woodson made the tackle, but it'll be 1st and goal, Green Bay.
A quick slant to Sharp. He just comes right down the middle, and it's a perfect pass by Favre. And great defense by Woodson and Norton, keeping Sterling Sharp inches away from the end zone.
Green Bay scored on its opening drive at home against Philadelphia. Opening drive on the road last week at Minnesota. And they are inches away now with 4 shots at it. Chimura in motion. Edgar Bennett popped up high. Touchdown. Broke the plane. Green Bay leads 6-0.
Packer backs reverse roles that time. That time it was John Stevens lining up at the halfback position, leading Edgar Bennett over the top.
Really an impressive drive to open the game. Good field position established by Darrell Thompson's 42-yard kickoff return. The key play in the drive was a 20-yard screen pass to Edgar Bennett on 3rd down. Here's Chris Jackie, who played high school ball in nearby Richardson, Texas.
Edgar Bennett told us yesterday that being a football player is a lot about attitude, explosion, and sometimes a little bit of height gets you in the end zone.
Packers are up by 7.
Xerox, the document company.
Well, some of the cheeseheads have found seats here in Texas Stadium. And the Cowboys are down by 7. Here's Chris Jackie's kickoff. Kevin Williams drifts back, and it'll be a touchback. Come out to the 20-yard line. And the Dallas Cowboys take offense for the first time. Troy Aikman, who had a terrific game week before last in Phoenix, 21 of 27. Tuanay, Newton, Stepnoski, Gogan, and Eric Williams are the offensive line. It's Smith making the start at the backfield, along with Darrell Johnston. Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper are the wide receivers, and Jay Novacek is the tight end. First down and 10. Backs are split behind Troy Aikman. Smith gets to the line of scrimmage plus perhaps a half a yard. Packer defense. Matt Brock gets a start for Sean Patterson at right end. Bill Moss at nose. Reggie White at left end. The linebackers are Bryce Pop, Johnny Holland, George Coots, and Wayne Simmons. In the secondary, it's Mitchell and Pryor along with Butler and Buckley. 2nd down and 9. Hawk goes over to the right side, and Darrell Johnston starts in motion. Aikman across the middle. Alvin Harper out to the 35. First down.
So much a part of the Cowboy offense is using motion and formations to uncover receivers. Johnston had already gone in motion to the outside beyond Harper. And look, there's just nobody in front of Harper. Nice throwing lane for Aikman.
Gain of 14 and a first down from 35. Blitz is coming. And Emmitt Smith sneaks through left tackle behind Johnston's block and that of Novacek, and then Tuanay was also over there. Detroit with an early lead on Barry Sanders' 20-yard touchdown run. By the way, Emmitt Smith started today 359 yards behind Barry Sanders, but Barry Sanders has a bye week in hand. So
yeah, it would be interesting. I mean, if you know one thing about Emmitt Smith, if he's close at the end of the year, he's going to play in that game regardless of the way the outcome might affect the standings. He likes those rushing titles.
Aikman goes deep, caught. Michael Irvin. Touchdown, Dallas. .61 yards. And here is Eddie Murray, who is kicking in this stadium for the first time ever, despite a 14-year career. Most of those years spent with Detroit, and the last time they played at Texas Stadium was in 1977. So Murray tacks on the tying point, but it's Aikman to Irvin for the
timing
TD.
was exquisite on this play. Vern 5 steps back. Aikman lets it go, and then the playmaker, Michael Irvin, takes it the rest of the way. We got a tie ball game.
We weren't mentally focused like we needed to be on offense without Emmett in there. Now Emmett's back. He's home. I think everybody will be jacked up at home, and it does have that atmosphere of being our home opener.
Their actual home opener was against Buffalo, and they lost that one 13-10.
He's got somebody pouring him a glass. I've never seen it like that. He scored a touchdown. You get the water boy, pours the water in your mouth.
I'd like to read his contract.
My, oh my.
That's a heck of a clause. Here's Corey Harris. And he's out to the 29. Bill Bates with the tackle.
Yeah, Irvin's going to come down on the down and in route. This is Roland Mitchell and Leroy Butler. And watch what happens after the catch. You talk about getting a little help as a wide receiver. Butler's going to come in and take out Mitchell. And that's about all you can say about that one, is Irvin turns a medium range pass into a long touchdown.
Michael Irvin came in with 20. He's got 21 catches for the year now. First and 10, Green Bay, 7-7 game. Favre hands it off. Bennett out to the 33-yard line, and Russell Maryland makes the tackle, number 67. Second down and 7. 5:42 remaining first quarter. Both teams scoring on their opening drives. And the Packers now at their own 32-yard line. Cowboys are stunning Favre with a safety valve pass to Bennett, but he turns it into a first down.
That's one thing Favre's going to see a lot of today from the Cowboys is zone defense. That time very patiently and with real good pass protection. You notice Favre got back real deep and didn't have anybody in his face, as he's seen the last couple of weeks. So you don't get anybody in your face, you're going to be 7 out of 7.
Pretty nice start. He had been bothered, Dan, it appeared, so much by the blitz the last 2 weeks.
And it's important for him to get away from the line of scrimmage. And I think Holmgren is cognizant of those problems. And he's a smart coach. He's going to make things as easy as possible for his quarterback.
Charles Haley on Edgar Bennett.
Haley came into the game with a sore right knee, missed practice on Wednesday, but he looks pretty healthy on this one. Great quickness off the ball. Number 94, as he just jumps inside the block or attempted block of tight end Jackie Harris. One thing the Cowboy line will do is they'll slant one way, and if you're not ready for it, no matter how athletic you may be as a blocker or a tight end, it's going to be tough to make a block on a guy like Haley.
Second down and 13. Favre, that one is tipped away by Ken Norton. First start as a middle linebacker.
Norton likes the move now to a middle linebacker because he has the opportunity to make plays. He sees Clayton coming, and he just comes right over the top. That's an outstanding play by a middle linebacker, but Norton is used to playing middle linebacker and against the pass offenses because he has to do it so many times in nickel situations.
Those first 3 linebackers all played under Tom Landry. In 29 years, there were 3 of them. And here's movement by Rutgers at left end. Favre, this play will come back, and there goes Tom White, the referee. Yes. Bodies are falling all over the place, and Frank Winters just took care of Jimmy Jones at the end of the whole play.
And Favre is telling him, hey, man, you got to blow that whistle a little bit louder. I think when White saw the traffic coming out of him, he might have been swallowing this whistle, trying to wave his hands around. That doesn't help the quarterback any. It looks like, you know, a nice free shot on the official.
Well, Jones got the official, but
Number 75 offense, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
Tom's breathing a little heavy, isn't he?
the rarefied altitude of Irving, Texas.
You see a guy like Jones coming at you at 285 pounds and make your heart beat a little faster.
Last time these 2 teams played was in 1989 at the end of the Cowboy 1-15 season, Jimmy Johnson's first year. 3rd and 18. Favre, pretty good protection again. Strong arms it for Sharp, and it's incomplete. Thomas Everett was in the vicinity. It would be 4th down.
Good defensive series there for the Cowboys, and that was aided by the offsides penalty against Ken Rutgers. Those 3rd and 18s are hard to convert.
Rutgers, who last week held Chris Dolman rather out of the offensive backfield. Here's the punt by Wagner. Kevin Williams, who's had problems holding on to the football with 3 fumbles in 3 games, but he returns this one to the 21-yard line. The 2nd-round draft choice from Miami by way of Dallas. 7-7 ball game, a 53-yard punt, 7 on the Williams return. Time call. Texas Stadium filled again, as it has been in the last year and a half or so. 65,000 plus on hand in this facility that was built in the early 70s. And the Green Bay Packers coming to town to take on the Dallas Cowboys. This series goes back to 1960. And Green Bay leads overall 10 games to 6, including a couple of NFC Championship games. Here's Aikman going left side and finds Michael Irvin in front of Roland Mitchell.
Last time the Cowboys saw Reggie White, he was wearing a green uniform, but it had wings on the helmet. This is the yellow helmet of the Packers, but they know where Reggie is. This time he lined up across from Kevin Gogan down inside, and Packers are still searching for a way to get number 92 more big plays.
That's going to be a fascinating matchup today. Reggie White against Eric Williams. The 2nd time they met last year in regular season. Eric Williams was voted Offensive Player of the Week in the NFL. Here's Michael Irvin, and he almost breaks out of the tackle. As it is, he beats Mitchell to the 39-yard line. '29-yard pickup.
That's the post pattern that the Cowboys are so good at. Irvin comes down to the inside, and Aikman will just come back 5 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let it rip. Irvin has the body size to shield Mitchell from the ball.
1st down and 10. Emmitt Smith to the 35-yard line. Interesting how most folks around the league now talk about these Cowboys, the huge size they've got at wide receiver.
They are the biggest wide receivers in football, and now that Harper is starting to play up to that #1 draft pick billing, he really gives them weapons on both sides. But they're always bigger than the guys covering them. They may not be faster, but they get their body in the way. It's almost like playing basketball, dumping the ball into the low post center.
Second down and 8. Aikman, Novacek, first down at the 19.
Last week, Aikman hit 9 in a row to start the ball game. Well, he's 5 in a row so far. And if the pass protection couldn't be any better. 2-8, number 76 at the top of the screen is going to be working on Matt Brock. And Brock is just a step slow to get to Aikman. And they're just picking apart this Packer defense.
Aikman 133 yards already on 5 completions. Emmitt Smith hit at the point of the exchange. Bryce Pop, number 95, was right there. Emmitt Smith, of course, signed that contract week before last. Said yesterday in a long conversation with us that he bore no bitterness, but he would never forget. I thought he was somewhat unconvincing when he said he bore no bitterness.
Well, loyalty is such a big part of being an athlete and being a team member, and sometimes an organization and player don't always see eye to eye on just what loyalty means.
Blitz coming from the outside. Aikman across the middle, and Smith drops it.
And Reggie's telling him, Emmitt, you catch that one, you're spiking that ball in the end zone. There was nobody there. Emmitt had a step, and he stops Aikman's completion string here. Hit him right in the old hands there, and look at even the Green Bay guy was amazed. He was ready to signal touchdown.
Jimmy Johnson will pull Emmitt Smith out of the lineup on 3rd and 10 now. And Derek Gaynor comes in. Kevin Williams is also in as a 3rd wide receiver. 3rd and 8. First 3rd down of the game for the Cowboys. Aikman, Kevin Williams. And he falls as tackled short of the first down at the 15-yard line, so we'll see Eddie Murray. Kevin Williams, who was a local lad. He played high school ball at Roosevelt High School in Dallas, and the other NFL player who came from Roosevelt High School played there by the name of John Washington. You knew him by a different name.
He came to San Diego in 1958 as John Jefferson, or JJ, one of the most charismatic players I've ever played with or ever seen, and did some time in Green Bay as well.
Eddie Murray. Novacek will hold it. It's up, and it is good. And Eddie Murray, the longtime Green Bay Packer. Green Bay Packer, I beg your pardon, Detroit Lions. My, there's a lot going on here. It's 10-7, Cowboys lead. Back for the start of quarter number 2 from Texas Stadium in Irving. Vern Lundquist and Dan Fouts. The Cowboys leading on a 33-yard field goal by Eddie Murray. Corey Harris leads the NFL in kick returns with an average of nearly 32 yards per return. Had a 65-yarder last week. And despite that degree of excellence he's displayed, never in his life has he returned a kickoff for a touchdown. Onside kick. Tried by the Cowboys, picked up by Dallas. They wanted to make something happen in the kicking game, and they just did. Darren Smith. Jimmy Johnson said yesterday, I think we can make a couple of big plays in the kicking game.
Well, last year, the kicking game, special teams, really jump-started the Cowboys season. So far this year, it's put them in a hole up until this moment. Excellent call by Avezzano and perfect execution by Eddie Murray. Packers had this one on the first bounce, but then Gaynor comes in and drills Marcus Wilson, and it's a big hop to Darren Smith, and the Cowboys get the ball inside the 50. What a play by Gaynor, and a great bounce off this turf to Smith.
First down and 10. Troy Aikman will probably go for a bunch. Pumps, goes deep. Michael Irvin has his man beat, and there's the flag.
Mitchell complaining that Irvin was grabbing him, but Mitchell never looked back for the ball. That's an easy call for the official to make. That's our back judge, Paul Bates, number 22 there. He had the flag out early.
Number 47 defense. It'll be a first down for Dallas, the 9-yard line.
Mitchell never looks back for this ball until it's too late. He made contact. Ball just a little bit underthrown. But Irvin gets the call.
First and goal at the 9. They have victimized Roland Mitchell in the first quarter and first series of the second quarter. Smith stacked up at the 7. Reggie White, number 92.
A lot of the talk this year has been about field goal kicking and how much of an influence that part of special teams has been on the game. But today we saw a 42-yard kickoff return for the Packers to open the day, and then that surprise onside kick by Eddie Murray. So the kickers are getting involved in the NFL.
Yeah, I think back to our conversation with Johnson yesterday. He said we can make a couple of things happen in the kicking game. I think we both were thinking of returns or blocked punts or something.
Yeah, he didn't say anything about onside kicks.
Especially to open the second quarter. Aikman bumps, dives out of bounds at the 1.5.
And that's going to be close for a first down. Just too many weapons to defense. But it all starts with great pass protection. Aikman gets a chance to look at the entire field and smartly tucks it under his arm and gets down real close to the first down.
It will be third and goal. And time has been called. There's the 40-second clock that comes into play again. This time 3 seconds remaining on the play clock. Aikman calls time. Dallas leads by 3. On your left, the offensive coordinator, Norval Turner, who is among the happiest guys in North Texas with the return of Emmitt Smith.
Well, he has his entire offense to work with, the most potent offense in the NFL right now.
Third and goal from the 1. Backs in the eye. Emmitt Smith. And Leroy Butler makes the tackle. It'll be fourth and goal.
I think the Cowboys might have outguessed themselves there, or tried to outsmart themselves, because they tried to go wide to Emmitt Smith. They're only a yard or 2 away from the end zone. And how many times have we seen Emmitt Smith just following Johnston over the top and into the end zone? Good play by the Packers, keeping their contain on Smith and forcing this field goal attempt.
Eddie Murray on for the second field goal attempt in the ball game. This from 19 yards. Up and good, and the Cowboys use the onside kick and the recovery, plus a 40-yard penalty to set up the field goal. And this is how this drive started after the last field goal.
Yeah, with the left foot here by Murray. Nice big bounce there. Marcus Wilson had it for an instant, and then it's a one-hopper to Darren Smith that set up this field goal by Eddie Murray. And the Cowboys are getting with the swing of things in the NFL in '93. They got 2 field goals already.
I know how happy that makes you.
I hear Bradshaw talking about narrowing the goalposts. I said, why don't we just get rid of them altogether? Take the foot out of football and let's, throw it around the lot a little bit.
There's Joe Avezzano. You saw urging his special teams on. Joe, who keeps a memento of his days in Corvallis in his office. He's got a 10-gallon hat with Oregon State around it.
And he had to be proud of those Beavers yesterday as they upset Arizona State. He's also 1991 Special Teams Coach of the Year. Got a nice big trophy in his office too for that.
And Eddie Murray will kick it deep, we assume, to Corey Harris.
Been the best part of the Packer offense today has been their kickoff returns, both Harris and Thompson.
13-7, 12:55 to go first half. This will be Harris at the 7. And he was tackled at the 25-yard line. Matt Vanderbeek made the stop.
One thing Holmgren told us yesterday is he's got to open up his offense a little bit more and get the ball down the field. Favre had 20 completions last week against Minnesota. 17 were 5 yards or less, and 3 were 10 yards or less. No completions over 10 yards for the Packers. That can't get it done and won't get it done in the NFL.
Mike Holmgren said he would gamble today. He's going to open it up. Favre is 7 of 9. Packers trail by 6, 13-7. Quick setup, left side, incomplete. Intended for Mark Clayton.
You know, when you look at those statistics and everything, when Favre first came into the game, they said, well, he doesn't have the touch to throw the short pass. Well, that's all he's been doing the start of this season. He told us yesterday, now people are complaining, hey, he doesn't have the arm to throw the long pass. He can't win.
Tell you who thinks he can is Troy Aikman. They played together at the Pro Bowl, and Troy Aikman said he's got one of the strongest arms he'd seen. Play action. Favre, incomplete. Intended for Bennett, and he had Darren Smith over his back. It'll be 3rd down.
Another example of what Holmgren's going to try to do today is use more play action, try to get Favre in different places to the field to read the defense. We also might see him on some rollouts today and some waggle plays. Try to get him away from that pressure.
That was the backup quarterback Ty Detmer signaling in the plays. Marcus Wilson comes in now on 3rd down. So does Robert Brooks. That's Wilson, number 29. 3rd and 10. Cowboys bring 4. Favre fires it. And that's a 1st down out to the 37-yard line. Sterling Sharp with another grab, a gain of 12.
I think fires it is the perfect description of that pass, Vern. Sharp again found the hole in the secondary, and this ball, watch as he turns his head around. This ball is on its way, and it's smoking. Knew exactly what he needed for the 1st down, got a perfect pass, and the Packers moved the chains.
Sterling Sharp, who said he enters every game expecting to catch a minimum of 7. Had 7 in each of the first 2, 5 last week. 1st and 10. Oh, they're going to bring this back. Looked like Sharp had moved across the line out on the left side.
False start. Number 84 offense. 5 yards. Still 1st down.
That's just lack of concentration by Sharp. The play was designed to go to the other side to Clayton.
Green Bay has, as Dan said a moment ago, their biggest weapon so far has been the kickoff return. Total yards from scrimmage 76, and most of those on the opening drive. For the 3rd week in a row, they scored a touchdown to open the game, but they trail now 13-7. 11:35 to go 1st half. That's John Stevens, tackled by Tony Casillas. This Dallas defense under the new coordinator Butch Davis had, he told us yesterday, has played fairly well with the exception of the 3rd quarter and part of the 4th in the opening game Monday night in Washington.
And he said that the difference that we'll see with the Cowboys as the season goes along, he feels that they're getting more experience and that he feels more comfortable with them being a pressure-oriented defense, which is one of those coach speak terms for we're going to blitz more.
Favre to Bennett. Blockers in front. Bennett to the 43. That's short of the 1st down. Tackle is made by Darren Woodson. They picked up 11. They needed 15.
Packers are getting pretty good at the screen pass after not calling any for their first 2 weeks of the season. They threw it about 6 times last week. Bennett was recipient of most of those, and here he is again coming out behind Winters and Galbraith and Campen. That's pretty good when you can get 3 linemen out in front of your screens.
3rd and 3. 10:15 to go 1st half. Cowboys lead 13-7. Favre right side. Marcus Wilson has the catch and a 1st down at the Cowboy 45-yard line. Tackle made by Kevin Smith. Michael Irvin has the Cowboy touchdown in this game, a 61-yard catch from Troy Aikman.
He already has over 100 yards receiving on just 3 catches.
First and 10. Green Bay. Colorado and Atlanta scoreless in the third. And of course the Giants play the Dodgers later this afternoon. The Braves and Dodgers tied at the top. NL West. Play action. Favre. Jackie Harris, the tight end, at the 37-yard line. Gain of 8.
It's one of those little bootlegs right there, Vern. After the fake, Favre rolled out and hit his tight end. And that's a nice gain on first down to be able to bring up a second down and short where the defense is really off balance. They don't know whether to expect a run or a pass. It's one of those free down type of plays that a lot of teams will try to go deep on.
Second and 2. Bennett makes the catch. That's another first down.
Now
now they're saying incomplete. He was bobbling it.
Well, the play was made by Dixon Edwards, number 58. Here's Bennett and Edwards. Watch the strip with the right hand. That's perfect timing and a good call. That's in slow motion. It looked like Bennett might have had the ball, but in regular speed, that's bang, bang.
And again, the call was made by Paul Betts. 16 passes and 9 runs so far.
We talked about Holmgren wanting to let it fly. He's let it fly a few times already.
Third and 2. 13-7. Cowboys lead. And the officials have called time. Dallas has called time. So that is the Cowboys' second time they've used a timeout. They've got 1 left. 9:10 to go first half. 13-7 Cowboys. With Emmitt Smith back in the lineup, lead 13-7. Many credit this man for inadvertently helping the negotiations along. After they lost to Buffalo, Charles Haley put his helmet through the wall and said, blankety blank, blankety blank, get Emmitt Smith back in here. Jerry Jones was listening. Here's Sterling Sharp with another grab for a first down at the 35. And there is Emmitt Smith, who told us last night that he watched that Buffalo game from Tallahassee, where he was watching his brother play football at Florida State. And he said he got a big smile out of the fact that Thurman Thomas had number 22 taped to his ankle.
And he also kind of liked the way the crowd was chanting his name, Emmitt, Emmitt. And you know that Haley's well-placed helmet may have had something to do with us seeing Emmitt here today.
First down and 10. Here's the pass to the left. John Stevens down near the 20. Just to round out the story about the aftermath of the loss to Buffalo, they all walked into the locker room, and Haley, who is an explosive personality, slammed his helmet into the wall and broke through. Said with expletives deleted, let's sign Emmitt Smith. And the next item on the agenda was for the team to kneel and say the Lord's Prayer.
You always got to say the Lord's Prayer after a game.
There was something incongruous about it all. I'm not sure how else to put it. 2nd and 1.
Amen.
Here's the blitz, and they got him. Ken Norton.
He was a little reluctant at first to make the move to the middle linebacker position, Vern, but the coach said as far as the team aspect is concerned, this will fit your personality because you can make plays. And if you make plays, then the individual honors will come. He sidesteps the block and drops Stevens for a big loss.
When he was signed as a second-round draft choice out of UCLA, people referred to him as Ken Norton Jr. Most folks have dropped the junior now. He's earned his own identity. Blitz. And they throw it away. Favre had to get rid of it.
Had to get rid of it because it was a safety blitz by James Washington. And that's usually the blitz adjustment for most offenses, is put the ball up Packer fans have seen way too much of this, though, with Favre just unloading the ball down the field in the general direction of Sterling Sharp. But Sharp isn't looking for this one. He sees it sail over his head, and a good play and a good call by Dallas, and Butch Davis sets up this field goal try.
Chris Jackie, who grew up about 20 miles from the stadium and then played collegiately at the University of Texas at El Paso out of Wagner's Hole. That's got plenty, but it is wide to the right. Not the kind of homecoming he wanted. A very impressive drive goes wide right. It's still 13-7.
Wet, and here is a wet spot. It appeared to me, Vern, that Jackie saw that and was trying to avoid it, and he may have overstrided, and that's why the ball never hooked in between the uprights.
Misses from 43, and that's his first miss after 9 in a row for the Green Bay Packers. So that streak comes to an end. Cowboys take over. Aikman, play action. They're going to test the right side, and they've got Alvin Harper open. There is also a flag down. Here's Harper at the 9.
Flag is down in the secondary, Vern. But the officials are saying, come on down. It may be against the Packers, and this play will stand.
Illegal contact. Number 36 defense. Penalty is declined. The result of the play will be a first down and goal.
It's illegal contact against the Packers, and it's going to happen right in the middle of the field. But at the top of the screen, there's the illegal contact, but at the top of the screen is Harper at 6'3", going over the 5'9" Terrell Buckley in a 66-yard gain.
Emmitt Smith comes left. But the theme of this first half offensively for Dallas has been, let's expose the Green Bay secondary.
They've been exposed already this year. There are only 2 losses. Randall Cunningham beat them with a touchdown pass, and of course, who will ever forget Gulliford's catch last week from Jim McMahon? That was just a size mismatch. We talked about the size advantage that the Cowboys have on all the defensive backs in the league, but 5'9" against 6'3", that's just not going to hold up.
Second down and goal from the 7. Smith in motion out of the backfield. Aikman, short setup, finds Irvin at the goal line, and he is stopped just short of the score. That'll officially be a gain of 6.
This was what sets the All-Pros apart from just the rest of the guys playing in the NFL. Catching the ball over the middle, knowing you're going to get tagged. As soon as you do, then the big guys are on their way. Nice job of Buckley that time, standing Irvin up and preventing the touchdown and waiting for help to come.
Michael Irvin, 4 catches, 104 yards. And you see the Green Bay defense inside the 20.
They've only given up 3 touchdowns all year.
Right.
But Johnson and Norv Turner told me yesterday that with Emmitt back in the game, a lot of people are going to be concentrating on him, so that will open up our passing game. And it's opening it up in a big way as Aikman's just bombed the Packers secondary.
Cowboys have to burn timeout again. That's their 3rd. They are out of timeouts with 5:13 remaining in the first half, and Dallas about to score again. Well, CBS Sports will present exclusive coverage of baseball's postseason. The Battles of October began Tuesday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. The Toronto Blue Jays go into Chicago to take on the White Sox. Telecast at 8, first pitch at 8:12, then game 1, either San Francisco or Atlanta.
How's that, Vern?
Where did you grow up, Dan?
I'm kind of a Giant fan. What the heck? Let's just say the Giants and Phillies, huh?
All right, it's either the 49ers or Atlanta at Philadelphia on Wednesday night.
I figure I'd make half the people mad, half the people happy, you know.
Well, the Bay Area just erupted with joy. Colorado and Atlanta in the bottom of the third. No
All
score.
the Giants have to do today is beat the Dodgers 4 straight on the road, something they haven't done since I think you were born back in '23. And that was at Ebbets Field.
23. That's close. Cowboys have talked it over and back out. They have a 3rd down at the 1. Green Bay has not given up a rushing touchdown this year.
And remember, the last time the Cowboys were in this situation, they tried to go wide on a counter play to Emmitt Smith. Looked for Smith this time to go up over the top.
Smith with 7 carries for 11 yards so far. A 13-7 game. Green Bay opened by going the length of the field following the 42-yard kickoff return. They took a 7-0 lead. Dallas came back on a 61-yard Aikman to Michael Irvin pass. We've since then had 2 Eddie Murray field goals, and now Dallas threatens again. 3rd and goal at the 1. Fumble. 1 hopper. Aikman is stopped. They'll have to go for the field goal again.
We talked about the field being wet. Maybe there was a wet spot on that ball because as Aikman turned around to hand it to Smith, it just popped right out of his hand. See the snap? It appears to be a good snap. He's got it in both hands, and then it's just like a banana. Slips right out of his hand, and that's a bad feeling for a quarterback a long way from the end zone and not much blocking.
And that brings on Eddie Murray for the 3rd time. 19-yard field goal again.
But you notice the call was deep handoff to Smith up over the top. But the fumble prevented that.
Dale Hellestray is the center. Snaps it back, and Jay Novacek will hold. Eddie Murray is 3 for 3 in his first game at Texas Stadium, and the Cowboys extend their lead to 9 points. 15-7 Cowboys lead. 4:48 to go. Dallas trying to get the record back to 2-2, and Kenneth Gant doing a little cheerleading. Number 29. Eddie Murray. Harris at the goal line. Out to the 20. Good special teams tackle by guess who? Billy Bates, number 40. He is something special.
Well, to come back from the type of knee injury he had last year, this is just remarkable. In his 11th year, playing like a first-year man, throwing his body all over the place, making another special teams tackle. And he ought to celebrate. See, that's the difference between him and Gant. Gant celebrates and runs around before the play, and he didn't get anywhere near the tackle. Bates gets in on the tackle. That's when you celebrate.
Corey Harris, who returned the kickoff, was injured on the tackle, so Harris is down at the 20-yard line.
Now, looking at his left knee, this is a bad sign. And Harris told us yesterday he was going to get more involved in the offense, perhaps on 3rd down as a receiver. Right in behind the wedge. There comes Bates from the side, and as he hit the ground, it looked like his legs were spread, and that's where the injury occurred.
Harris, who played collegiately at Vanderbilt University, grew up in the Indianapolis area.
He may have been Holmgren's secret weapon, though, as the season develops, because he has experience on offense and is anxious to get back on that side of the ball and involved in the third down passing game.
Corey was an all-purpose player at Vanderbilt, wingback, wide receiver, running back. He gained 1,000 yards. Bright young man who grew up idolizing Eric Dickerson, who played collegiately on this field for SMU. Corey Harris, and hope it's nothing terribly serious. They'll help him out on the bench. 1st down and 10, Green Bay, 16-7. Favre pumps and goes deep, but there's great coverage by Kevin Smith, and Favre throws it out of bounds. Baseball on the minds of a lot of folks. Let's check in back in New York with Greg.
All right, Vernon, Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium. Dave.
Okay, Greg, I wish you could have seen the frown just cross my partner's face. Not the kind of news he wanted to hear. There's Corey Harris at 2nd down and 10. Favre finds Clayton running a crossing pattern underneath, and he's out near the 30-yard line. It'll be a half a yard short of the first down. Larry Brown with the tackle. 2-0 Atlanta over Colorado. That's the report that we just had from Greg Gumbel.
A lot of time left, Vern.
But are there enough innings left? See, you see, time is not of the essence.
Not in baseball. It never has been.
3rd and 1. Darrell Thompson is in. Flag is down. Richard Reels is the field judge, and he's the one who's in.
You know, it's not this complicated a game.
Due to an error with the clock, please reset it to 25 seconds. There is no delay game.
Ate the flag, and I appreciate the fact that Tom White explained why they picked up the flag. That seems not unreasonable to ask officials to do.
Well, that's why we gave microphones, you know, so they could talk to the crowd and talk to us, and that's a good job by Tom White. They hate to admit those errors, though.
3rd and 1. And that should be enough for a first down for the Green Bay Packers. Edgar Bennett played collegiately at Florida State. We talked last week about the small ironies in football. Well, Edgar Bennett was telling us last night that when he was in the 10th grade at R.E. Lee High School in Jacksonville, he was a cornerback. They were about to play Escambia of Pensacola in the playoffs. Escambia had a running back named Emmitt Smith. Edgar Bennett played Emmitt Smith with the scout team, gained 400 yards against his own team during the week, and they switched him to running back. Favre. Flag.
1, 2, 3 flags.
4. Somebody else on the far side got in the act.
I think that one came out of the stands.
Handkerchief was heavy, and he said.
You know, I think the Cowboys have an argument here. Was this a catchable ball? But when you throw 4 flags, you're not even going to argue.
Interference. Number 37 defense. First down.
But they're trying to get pressure up the middle against Favre because they've seen him put the ball up for grabs a couple of times. That's a 3-linebacker blitz that time. And Washington is a little bit too soon with his coverage. That ball was overthrown, but 4 flags says it's a good call.
13-yard penalty. Bootleg. Haley knocks it down. Wow.
Well, he looked like a volleyball player that time, didn't he, Vern? He just swatted. Take that ball back. Favre is lucky he didn't pick this one off. It's a bootleg trying to fool Haley. Been around a little bit too long, gets that big right hand up there and just snuffs that one out.
Charles Haley acquired from the 49ers last year. 2nd down and 10. 16-7, Dallas leads. Favre, fumble. Nope, incomplete pass. Bring it back. Jeff Goat has it, but it's no TD. Haley with the pressure. Tom White with the explanation.
Third down.
You know, Jeff Goat's run a couple of these back in his career, 2 of them, hoping this was going to be the 3rd one. Let's see if this is a good call or not. Yeah, that's a good call because Favre was coming forward, and again, it was a defensive man right in his face that knocked the ball away. Good call by Tom White. That was a forward incomplete pass.
3rd down conversions. Green Bay has been excellent thus far. They've got a 10-yard lead now. Three-man rush. Favre, right side for Bennett. Short of the first down. Kevin Smith made the tackle. And the Packers will have to punt.
And the Packers are taking care of one problem, and that's giving Favre some pass protection on this play. Number 94 is Haley, lined up on the right side of the field this time, and the Pack finds where he is. Rutgers and Winters do a nice job, and they both get a kind of a cheap shot in there at the end, but why not?
Brian Wagner will punt it. Kevin Williams waits for it at the 10. And this will be allowed to drop at the 11-yard line. And then down at the 1. Well, punt returns have been a problem for the Cowboys this year.
Well, Williams, you said he has fumbled 3 times this year, and what happens, you get gun shy. And instead of making the tough catch, as that one would have been, you let the ball go. And what that does, that penalizes his team 10 yards. They're going to take over on the 1 or 2 yard line instead of at about the 12.
Joe Avazana was talking about the problems that Kevin Williams is having yesterday, and he said they fought through the same thing with Kelvin Martin a few years back. They actually replaced Kelvin Martin as a punt returner with Derek Shepard, and then they let Kelvin Martin work his way through it. They think the same thing will happen with Kevin Williams.
They're hoping the same thing happens with Kevin Williams. He's got the talent.
Cowboys at the 1. They flip it out, caught by Darrell Johnston, and he's out to the 11-yard line. Moose.
Is that what they're... I wouldn't think they would be booing that play. That was a pretty good play.
Oh, that's Moose.
What a great nickname, huh? How's Emmett doing, Vern?
Well, let's see. At the 2-minute warning, Emmitt Smith 7 for 11. Open all night. 2-minute warning. Times since. Here's Aikman handing off to Johnson. He's got a first down after the 19-yard line.
Okay, Moose, that's it for you. If we get the ball on the 2-yard line, we'll give you 2 plays, bring it all the way out to the 20, and now you go back to being a block and pack. Nice little trap right up the middle here to Johnston.
Keep in mind the Cowboys are out of their timeouts. They had to use all 3, so they can't stop it. 90 seconds to go. Dallas is up 16-7 with 1:28 to go first half. Emmitt Smith out to the 30. Had 45 yards last week in Phoenix. Just to put a period to the story about Edgar Bennett pretending to be Emmitt Smith before that high school quarterfinal game as Scambia and Robert E. Lee. Bennett was telling us that Robert E. Lee held Emmitt Smith to below 100 yards in that game for the only time in his high school career. However, Emmitt Smith's team did win the game. Aikman. Dropped by George Kuntz.
One of the rare sacks of Aikman. He's feeling this one too. This is a good time to call it. The Cowboys had been ripping him pretty good running the ball. They're coming on the run blitz, and Kuntz comes right up the middle. And Brock gets in on it, and Bryce Pop adding a few pounds to that sack.
Green Bay calls timeout. They stop the clock with 45 seconds remaining first half. They have 1 timeout left, and Dallas is facing a second down.
By the Cowboys, because the Packers only have 1 timeout left, and Aikman can bend, just kneel down one more time. Even though the Packers can stop the clock, this clock will run out, and the Packers won't get the ball back.
Coming up at halftime, Greg and Terry back in our New York studio with scores and highlights, plus a CBS News special report with Dan Rather. I'm sure that will involve the current happenings in Moscow and the unrest that is going on there. So the Cowboys get 3 field goals from Eddie Murray. That's the margin of difference as Jimmy Johnson's team goes into the locker room with a 9-point lead. It's Dallas 16 and the Green Bay Packers 7 halfway through this game at Texas Stadium.
We say in the pregame show about that 40-second clock.
Caught Brett Favre. There's one of them wasted. Can't get the playoff. Troy Aikman, MVP in the Super Bowl, can't get the playoff. Timeout. Wanting good plays, but getting a lot of bad plays.
Here's a good one. Troy Aikman, Irvin.
In and out. 2 guys covering Irvin. He comes underneath the safety, makes a great catch, outlegs everyone to the goal line. First TD reception of the season for Michael Irvin.
Pretty good job by the Green Bay defense here. They stuffed Emmitt Smith for no gain.
Emmitt not doing much. 8 carries, 21 yards in the first half, but you can't run right against most good teams. You have to go inside the tackles at the goal line.
And a little handoff problem here.
Little rain, little bad weather, ball is slipping. Get it out, slippery. Aikman drops it, picks it up.
That little matchup between Michael Irvin and Sterling Sharp. Irvin 108 yards and a touchdown in the first half. Sharp 4 receptions for 34 yards as the Packers trail the Cowboys. In Tampa at halftime, the Bucs are trailing the Detroit Lions by a score of 10-3. Rodney Peete on the sideline. Andre Ware starting. He does a smart thing. He gives to Barry Sanders.
That's right. Dan Henning, offensive coordinator, told us last night that they were going to feature Sanders more than ever. I don't know how you could feature more than ever, but so far, Sanders with over 100 yards.
Things not going well for Sam Weiss. Here's an indicator.
7 turnovers last week led to 27 points by Tampa Bay. Here's a good indication of why they're struggling this season as they give up another turnover.
Barry Sanders 107 yards in the first half for Detroit. At Soldier Field in Chicago, Kevin Butler.
Saw the imposing skyline of downtown Dallas a moment ago, and about 15 miles away on Highway 183, Texas Stadium in Irving, suburb of Dallas, filled to capacity today for the second home game of the 1993 season. Dallas and Green Bay, the Cowboys favored, and they had so much emotional momentum coming in because of Emmitt Smith back in the lineup. Dan.
We talked about their whole offense being involved now that Smith is back, and you really get a sense for what Aikman gets to deal with. Look at all the times different players have touched the ball for the Cowboys today. Of course, with Smith with those 8 times, he's going to touch it about 30 times before this game is over, especially if the game remains close. But the key to this today, look at Aikman. He's 9 out of 10 passing and for over 200 yards. So as far as the Packers are concerned, this is good to see Clayton's involved and Harris as well as Sharp.
Well, the Emmitt Smith contract problems were such a distraction, but Michael Irvin says now he's back and those problems are forgotten.
I think they already know what they got to do, and it's, you know, with Emmitt back and Alvin playing the way he's playing, you know, Jay's always been playing great. I think with all our weapons intact on offense, I think we'll become a whole different team to stop. And like I said, we're mainly concentrating on the game now and not all the things that's around it and outside of the game.
Cowboys come back on. They will return the kickoff to open the second half. And there's Emmitt Smith. He said yesterday, you know, we asked him, what's an ideal day for you in your comeback, your first start at home? He said, well, a victory, of course. Good health, of course.
Wants to do well, keep the defense off balance.
And then finally he said,
we kept waiting. So, oh, yeah, I'd like to get 100 yards rushing as well.
Took him a while.
He's got about 78 to go, yeah. But who would bet against him?
Here's the kick by Chris Jackie. Return by Kevin Williams. That'll bring a smile to his face. Kevin Williams, who was the #1 or the top draft pick for the Cowboys this year. The only other #1 they've had locally here, you go back to the early 70s, and a man named Dwayne Thomas, who played at Lincoln High School. There have been others who grew up in Dallas and wound up playing here. Everson Walls, Michael Downs, Harvey Martin was a 3rd-round draft choice of the Cowboys back in the early 70s. And the latest, who grew up in the shadows of downtown Dallas, Kevin Williams. Emmitt Smith across the 50 to the 49-yard line. George Kuntz makes the tackle.
And not to criticize your play-by-play calling today, but Vern, but have you mentioned the name Reggie White yet?
You know what? No.
And that's amazing. Because White has only 1 tackle on the entire afternoon.
Going against, for the most part today, Eric Williams, who many think will become one of the premier offensive tackles in the game of football. Here's the blitz, and Emmitt Smith darts through it, spins, breaks the tackle, and draws the applause of the crowd.
That's just like old times, so up in the hole, breaking a tackle, spinning away, diving forward. And they're going right at Reggie White, number 92 here. Watch this play as Williams comes off the line of scrimmage, pushes him to the inside away from Smith, opens up the huge hole, and then it's a patented run for Emmitt Smith.
And another good block Daryl Johnston put on George Kuntz, the linebacker. Mentioned in the first half that last year in game 2 between Philadelphia and Dallas, Eric Williams was voted the offensive player of the week in the NFL, NFC. This pass low and short, intended for Novacek. It'll be second down.
I talked to Williams offensive line coach Hudson Houck earlier in the week, and Hudson coached all those great offensive lines with the Los Angeles Rams, and he said that Williams reminds him of Jackie Slater, which is a pretty good comparison. Slater's played about 18 years in this league. They both have a perseverance and attention to detail, and they also have a nasty side to them, and by that he means they like to finish off their man.
Ultimately, I think the plan is to move Eric Williams from right tackle to left, but not until Mark Tuanay decides to retire. He's there now. Blitz again, fake the reverse, and Aikman is caught, and they whistle it dead. Bryce Paup, number 95. And that's a matter of how far back he went before the whistle blew. 8 yards is the answer.
And a good sportsmanship move there by Pop. A lot of times you see those guys come in on the quarterback and they'll throw him around like a rag doll. Well, Aikman's no rag doll, 230 pounds. And Pop did not risk getting the roughing the passer call there. That's a heads-up play.
2 sacks for the Packers today, 3rd and 18. 4-man front defensively. Aikman gets rid of it to Novacek. That will be short of the first down as Novacek is out of bounds at the 33-yard line. And that may also be at the periphery of Eddie Murray's range as a field goal kicker. They will bring him on to try it, though.
Aikman's going to come off the field here holding his right wrist, and you wonder why, because he landed on it there. Doesn't appear to be too severe. Actually, he's holding his left wrist and flexing his fingers. This is a 50-yarder for Murray.
Missed from 50 last week. He would have the length, and this time he's got the length again. Got it! Nice start for a young man who's been around this league for 14 years. Eddie Murray is 4 for 4, and the Cowboys lead by 12.
Like what happened is Patterson gave him one of those karate chops across the wrist there, and it wasn't when he hit the ground, but he told everybody on the bench, leave me alone, I'm okay, I'm okay.
Eddie Murray will kick off. Corey Harris is in the locker room getting x-rays, and that means Robert Brooks is on to take his place. He's got the ball at the 3. Up near the 23-yard line, and a flag is thrown at the 20. Tackle made by James Washington. Report from the Cowboy bench, officially now a bruised left elbow for Troy Aikman, but he is expected to return. And we have not gotten an update on Corey Harris from the Green Bay locker room. We'll wait that.
Holding. Number 98 during the return, 10 yards, first down.
Billy Bates, free agent from Tennessee, doing what he's done for 11 years.
He was the first guy in the NFL that was voted to the Pro Bowl just on the strength of his special teams play. Now that's what I consider contribution to the game of pro football.
John Madden fell in love with him and started promoting that idea. Bennett and West are in. Play action. Favre under some pressure from Maryland. Lets it go for Sharp. And it is tipped by Kevin Smith. Well, great defense on both ends of that play. Russell Maryland draped all over Favre, and Kevin Smith draped all over Sharp.
And if Russell Maryland isn't in Favre's face, perhaps Favre can throw this ball maybe 1 or 2 yards further, and Smith doesn't make the play at the other end. But you see, Favre can't follow through, and the ball will just hang up there and allow Smith to come from nowhere and almost make the interception.
That brings up a 2nd down and 10. Cowboys stunt. Favre is chased. Lets it go across the middle. And it's caught by Clayton. He's got the ball out near the 21 for a 1st down. That's a gain of 12. Mark Clayton, who plays with the patented sunglasses.
Well, the play before was Russell Maryland. Now it's going to be number 92, Tony Tolbert, here on the outside. Watch as he works an inside stunt here with Tony Casillas. Gets inside Joe Sims and forces Favre to throw on the run.
1st and 10, Green Bay. Dallas leads at 19-7. We've got 11:33 to go, 3rd quarter. Play action again. Favre has to let it go to Bennett, and he is tackled by Darren Smith for a loss at the 19. Oh, they're going to give him forward progress at the 21. Well, let's go back to New York and get an update from Greg Gumbel.
All right, Vern, we'll take you to Tampa.
Of course, come into that game 3-1. The Cowboys and Green Bay in this one at 1-2, and now it's going to be 2nd down and 10. Brett Favre, who is 17 of 27 for 145 yards. Blitz. Favre lets it go right side. For Darrell Thompson, it's overthrown. Incomplete. It'll be 3rd down.
It's been real puzzling to me, and I'm sure a lot of Packer fans. What happens to the Packers after that opening drive? The last 3 weeks, the last 3 games, they've been able to score every time on their first drive, and then they don't do much of that after that. At least they haven't against Philly and Minnesota and Dallas. But maybe it's the pressure on the quarterback. You see, there's been no sacks, but you look at this knockdowns and the hurries and all those things. Favre has had a lot of company in that backfield today.
Well, and they're down by 12 now, Dan. They've got to go almost exclusively to a passing game. I think they have 3 yards rushing in this game. 3. Here's Favre throwing right side for Sharp. Incomplete. 4th down. John Stevens has carried 5 times for no yards. Bennett 5 for 7. Sharp 1 for -4. And they trail by 12. That is an enigma for Mike Holmgren and the bunch, though. They've scored almost at will in their opening drive.
Well, today they got the nice kickoff return, an opener of 42 yards by Thompson. But really on offense, they haven't been able to generate anything after that.
Wagner, Kevin Williams. To the 43-yard line. 10 minutes and 22 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter of play. 19-7 Dallas, and they've got the football.
Elvira.
Touchdowns in the game. A 1-yard run by Edgar Bennett for Green Bay. A 61-yard pass catch by Michael Irvin for the Cowboys. The difference in the game, 4 Eddie Murray field goals. And Troy Aikman back after leaving for just a moment with an elbow injury. That to his left elbow. He's 10 of 12 in the ballgame. Matt Brock comes across. Did Nate Newton draw him across?
Brock's kind of hanging his head like he wishes that Nate had drawn him across. Don't think so.
Encroachment, number 62, defense, 5 yards, still 1st down.
Ooh, I saw a baseball score there.
I saw 1 by Colorado, but I think I saw a whole lot more next to Atlanta's score.
If 4 is more, that was that. There you go.
I knew I shouldn't have crossed Atlanta off the schedule there just yet.
Don't ever cross Jane Fonda. That's the key. 1st down and 5. Emmitt Smith. He wanted it stated plainly yesterday that he did not hold out. You hold out when you have a contract and don't report. His point being that he never had a contract. He said one of the things that really bothered him was when Ken Willis signed a free agent contract and left Dallas, a place kicker. And there was a lot of noise made here about loyalty to the organization. And that one incident disturbed him a lot and still does.
Yeah, loyalty is one of those things that kind of fits in wherever you want, especially if you're the guy that holds all the cards, and the owners usually do, and they get upset when a player goes away by way of free agency, and they say, well, he wasn't loyal to the organization. Well, Emmett felt that what he has done in his career, he has played with all his contracts, has not held out, and he felt that he should have been rewarded for the loyalty he showed to Jerry Jones and this organization.
Got the first down in the last play. Now Aikman looks deep, fires it that way for Michael Irvin. Boy, they are really picking on these cornerbacks, Buckley and Mitchell. That's a 15-yard gain. And this time the victim is Mitchell.
And if all else fails at the end of the play, you try to strip the ball or pop it away from the receiver. The timing here, though, is exquisite as we see Aikman let the ball go long before Irvin is out of his break. And now watch, here's the frustration of Mitchell trying to slap it loose. And all the help comes a little bit too late.
Toss, Smith at the 22-yard line. That's a gain of 9, and Emmitt Smith now has 50 yards in the game. Emmitt Smith also said he appreciated the effort of the rookie 4th-round draft choice, who was the focal point of so much venom by so many people in this area, Derek Lassick. Lassick, a 4th-round pick out of Alabama, but 187 yards, 3.8 yards per carry average. He got 2 touchdowns against Phoenix. And Smith made it a point to thank him for what he did during the protracted negotiations. Here's Johnson leading Smith. Touchdown, Emmitt Smith. And the number of yards equals the number on his back. 22 scores from 22. His mom and dad, by the way, are here to help him celebrate.
And they really provided the support and the backbone for him during the contract hassle with the Cowboys. And you know, everything's all forgotten now, as that looked like the Emmitt Smith that we saw lead the Cowboys to the Super Bowl last year.
Murray's extra point is up and good.
A lot of Cowboy fans didn't think they'd ever see this type of run again, but you know they're happy as Emmitt's in the end zone.
7:49 remaining 3rd quarter. Emmitt Smith's 22-yard touchdown run has given him 71 yards for the day. And the Cowboys a comfortable 26-7 lead. Eddie Murray's kick will be taken by Robert Brooks at the 5-yard line. Gets by Kevin Smith. Still loose. Still loose. Touchdown, Green Bay. Robert Brooks.
Cowboys thought he stepped out of bounds. They all stopped around about the 30-yard line there. And Brooks just kept high-stepping down the sideline all the way in the end zone.
The Cheeseheads have reason to celebrate.
Well, the Cowboys fell asleep on the sidelines there. Looked like they were thinking that he was out of bounds and somebody was going to eventually push him out. Let's see how close he came. The wedge is perfect, and then great speed by Brooks getting to the outside. And somebody's got to push him out of bounds here. Everett gets one hand on him, but he doesn't go out there.
No.
He doesn't go out there. Murray doesn't do anything to push him out of bounds, and it's a touchdown for the Packers.
How interesting. We were talking with Corey Harris, who, by the way, is out and will not return, about the fact that he had never, ever returned a kickoff for a touchdown, and his substitute in that role, Robert Brooks, brings it back 95 yards.
But what was Eddie Murray thinking about? He had him. All he had to do was push him. He was probably thinking that Brooks would just step out of bounds. Unbelievable.
The last time the Packers returned to kick off for a touchdown in '91, also against the Dallas Cowboys.
See Murray on the sideline saying, hey, I thought somebody had him or that he was already out of bounds. But look, he's got the angle. Boy, Murray's got to get in the weight room and lift some weights there.
He didn't exactly enhance the kicker's reputation on special teams.
Boy, I tell you what, that's unbelievable. Kind of escorted him down the sidelines, pushed him towards the end zone and not out of bounds. We've seen some big plays on kickoffs today. Maybe that's a little payback for Murray. Remember the onside kick there earlier in the game? It's funny how these things go around and come back at you sometimes.
There's a picture of a man who has a 12-point lead and doesn't know it.
Well, Murray should go up to him and say, hey, but coach, I've already kicked 4 field goals for you.
And there's a picture of a man who will not let him forget it. Joe Avezzano.
Murray is not being paid to make tackles. We got to remember that. And I'm sure that he never will be paid for making tackles.
Here's Chris Jackie. That one goes out of bounds. Will come out to the 35-yard line.
Well, let's take a look at a couple plays back to this touchdown by Smith. Watch the block by Johnston and then the good teamwork by Stepnoski and Giesick as Reggie White takes the inside route, and now the final block by number 80 there, Alvin Harper, and that's why Emmitt Smith goes 22 yards untouched for the touchdown.
And the Cowboys are back on offense, and Emmitt Smith is going to give way to Derek Lassick.
You know, I saw him on the bench stretching that hamstring, and that was what Johnson and Johnson were worried about. He has a history of hamstrings, especially those problems early in the season.
Aikman back, lets it go for Lassick as George Kuntz was coming on the blitz and was right at his knees.
This is only a 12-point game here, and the Packers, of course, aren't going to quit. Watch Kuntz take it right up the middle here on the blitz, and you're not going to get any better run at the quarterback than that. Aikman just unloaded it.
7:20 remaining, third quarter. Tampa has taken a lead over Detroit, and Chicago continues to lead over Atlanta. Our second game coming up. Here's the handoff to Lassick, and the Cowboys' 4th-round draft choice from Alabama moves it out to the 38-yard line.
I thought it was interesting when we talked to Johnson yesterday, and we, hashed over the Emmitt Smith situation and everything, and I asked him, were there any positive things that came out of the holdout, or not the holdout, but the contract hassles? And he said, took him a while, and he said, yeah, it was a positive thing. It was that Derek Lassick proved to me and proved to this ball club that he can play in this league.
Lassick is in there now. 3rd down. Nope, it's Gainer. Flags are down.
Looked like Aikman used the hard count to pull Bryce Popp into the neutral zone and offsides.
Encroachment, number 95 defense, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
Atlanta continues to lead Colorado top of the 6th.
I can fix this. I can put another number there. That'd be 11-4, wouldn't it?
Only if the guys in the truck choose to let you put it on the screen. See, ultimately, we are never in control.
No. Well, we've never been accused of that.
Aikman, Novacek, 1st down Dallas. George Kuntz with the tackle.
As an inside linebacker, you've got a dilemma as to what to do here. You got to play the run, but now every once in a while you're called upon to make a tackle in the passing game. Kuntz had Novacek man-to-man, And Novacek got the good start and a good pass from his quarterback, picked up the first down.
5:45 remaining, third quarter, 26-14 Dallas. Aikman, play action. Settles for the short man. That's Novacek at the 50-yard line. And Bryce Popp is there, and then Leroy Butler comes up to help. That's a gain of 6. Mentioned a moment ago the doubleheader coming up. Many of you will see Philadelphia and the New York Jets. Others will watch Minnesota at San Francisco, and then New Orleans, undefeated so far, goes west to take on the Rams, who were 2-2. Is there any team that surprised you early in the season more than another?
I think Philadelphia, when you saw those free agents leave and guys bailing out of that situation, everybody said they weren't going to be very good. Off to another good start, though.
2nd and 4, and Michael Irvin makes the catch in front of Roland Mitchell again. That's a gain of 14, and Michael Irvin now has 6 catches for 138 yards.
Well, the key is his strength. Watch him just push off with that left hand just enough to get the separation from Mitchell, who had tight coverage, but the size difference and the strength of Michael Irvin made that play.
First down at the 34-yard line. Look at the figures for Michael Irvin. And 61 of those yards came on a touchdown that tied it up 7-7 early. Blitz coming. Aikman gets a good block from Lassie, but then the ball is almost picked off by Terrell Buckley.
That's twice now that a big play has happened to the Packers when both of their defensive backs have run into each other. Butler gives good pressure. Lassick makes a wonderful block. Watch number 25 pick up this blitz right there. But now Buckley's going to make this interception, and Pryor's going to come over there. And Buckley can't get back to the rebound.
Terrell Buckley victimized on the long pass from McMahon to Gulliford last week. 2nd down and 10. Here's the toss, left side. Johnny Holland, who played collegiately in this state at Texas A&M, made the tackle. Well, let's see what's going on elsewhere in the league. Back to New York. Here's Greg Gumbel.
All right, Vern.
You talk about a quarterback rotation. What's going on in Detroit?
Somebody upstairs said, hey, I want to play that guy that won the Heisman Trophy. And he's not getting it done. And poor Eric Kramer, he gets getting thrown in the mix.
Blitz again, 3rd and 6. They hand it off to Derek Gaynor, number 39, and he is cut down at the 30-yard line. And we're going to see Eddie Murray. This falls right into the pattern of things that have been going on this year in the league. Field goal after field goal after field goal ad nauseum.
Well, Murray really needs to make this kick to make everybody forget his tackling ability.
He's 4 for 4 thus far. That's the difference in the ball game. This from 48 yards. He's hit from 50. Novacek will hold. Perfect. He's gone from 37 to 35. Losing years. Eddie Murray with 5. 29-14 Dallas. Eddie Murray is 5 for 5 in his first appearance ever in Texas Stadium for his new team. And Michael Irvin and Kelly Blackwell among those to help him celebrate a perfect afternoon kicking the ball, not tackling.
And that gives the Cowboys a 15-point lead.
Here's Murray's kick taken by Brooks, and he will bring it out. But not very far. Darren Smith and Kenneth Gant. 59-29.
He who hesitates is going to get hit right in the face. Watch the hesitation here by Brooks, bringing it out a little bit too late. He's too far from his wedge right now. The hole will open up only to be closed by Smith up high and Gant down low. There's Gant coming off the turf.
Kenneth Gant, star of the special teams. Bill Bates was the first big star of these special teams. Kenneth Gant is another. Here's Favre into the flat for Thompson. Well, they are throwing the ball because they're down by 15, and they have not been able to run today. Look at the number of rushing yards for the Green Bay Packers.
And if this holds up, you know it's going to be an all-time record for both teams, for futility for Green Bay and for stopping the run for Dallas.
Thompson and Stevens are in the backfield, or rather Bennett in the backfield now. John Stevens, 5 carries for no yards. And here's Tony Talbert taking care of Edgar Bennett. And it will be 3rd down following the loss. Ken Norton and Frank Winters, along with James Campen, engaging in a little conversation.
Yeah, the Packers started off the game throwing the ball and having success doing it. They never quite established anything on the ground in the first half, as they did last week against the Vikings. It's almost like a catch-22 situation for Holmgren. He's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. Offense is just not clicking.
3rd and 11. 29-14. Screen pass. Edgar Bennett. James Washington and Bill Bates. 4th down.
Yeah, Bennett had 2 blockers out in front. Both blockers threw their blocks, and both of them missed. And that left Bennett with absolutely nothing.
Kevin Williams back to return it at the 30-yard line. And Brian Wagner on the punt. Returnable. Up, fair catch. So the Cowboys take over with a 1st down and 10 at the 42-yard line. And they're up by 15 points, 29-14. In 1967, Green Bay, Wisconsin, the operator called my room and said it's 15 degrees below zero. The Cowboys and the Packers, one of the most famous games ever, the Ice Bowl, and one of the most famous plays ever. 16 seconds remaining, no timeouts. Bart Starr goes right and scores the touchdown that gave Vince Lombardi and the Green Bay Packers a 21-17 victory over the Dallas Cowboys. Trust me, it was 21-17.
Well, you were there.
Yes.
Were you cold?
I was standing behind Frank Gifford and watched his coffee freeze. And the carry out to the 46. Well, you know, that Dan was such a famous game. And look at what's happened to the respective franchises since that game was played. The Cowboys, of course, became next year's champions, but they later went on and appeared in 6 Super Bowls, 18 playoff years, 20 winning years, and it has not been that good for Green Bay. You
got to give Tom Landry a lot of credit for bouncing back and having his team bounce back, and Jimmy Johnson now has taken over, got the Cowboys in the Super Bowl again.
Aikman back, goes deep right side, double coverage, and Buckley is back there with good coverage on Alvin Harper. Terrell Buckley.
That was a good job of Harper not giving up on the ball. Great coverage by Buckley. But Harper knocked the ball away at the last moment and kept Buckley from making the interception. Let's take a look at the end of it. Watch Harper stick his right hand out here. If he doesn't do that, Buckley makes the grab easily. As it was, Buckley almost got the rebound.
It'll be 3rd down and 5. 29-14, 37 seconds to go, 3rd quarter. Aikman across the middle for Novacek. 1st down at the 45. Leroy Butler, number 36, makes the tackle, a gain of 8. And that might be the last play of the 3rd quarter. Cowboys had a bye week last week, of course, after they defeated Phoenix. How do these guys celebrate a bye? Well, Troy Aikman went to a country western concert.
I wonder why. Big country western fan?
Yeah. Lori Morgan was performing in Atlanta. That's the end of 3 with the score 29-14 Dallas. Our coverage continues after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
This is CBS.
When Teresa Della
Back for the start of the final quarter at Texas Stadium in Irving, when the Cowboys trying to even their record at 2-2. So are the Green Bay Packers, but Dallas has the upper hand, a 29-14 lead, and a first down at the Green Bay 45. Aikman, 15 of 20 for 217 yards. Hands it off to Derek Lassick, and the 4th-round draft choice from Alabama gets down to the 42-yard line. It'll be second down. I would think we've probably seen all of Emmitt Smith for the day.
I think it was important for him to come out in the second half and get a positive performance. That 22-yard touchdown was a nice way of capping off his afternoon. But remember, this is only his second game, so you got to be a little bit careful with him as far as potential muscle pulls. And I think he might have felt his right hamstring twinge just a bit.
Blitz. Aikman reads it. Goes to the left side and finds one of his big receivers, Michael Irvin. 17-yard gain. That's 7 catches and puts Irvin over 150 yards for the day.
Aikman has such confidence in Irvin, and he's getting that same type of confidence with Harper on the other side. Again, throwing the ball early, anticipating the break of the receiver, and knowing that with Irvin's desire and size and strength, he's going to make another grab.
First down, blitz coming. Lassick goes left. Johnson tries to help him out with the block, and Tuanay does as well. And it's a pickup of just a couple.
It's amazing, though, with Smith coming back and signing and the Cowboys having the bye week and everything. Asked Johnson about the attitude of the ball club and how positive was it. He said, well, it's like we're 3-0. I know we're only 1-2, but we feel like we're 3-0. We feel good. Everything's right in the world, you know. We're going to be 2-2 real soon.
2nd and 9. Left side, Novacek. First down at the 11. And a gain of 13. Boy, it's been a precision-like passing attack with an occasional deep ball by the Dallas Cowboys.
It's all pass protection, too, Vern. Watch Darrell Johnston here. He's going to help out Eric Williams and just take Reggie by one shoulder. That slows him up enough. And there's just nobody around the quarterback. That's why Aikman is just passed over for 307 yards or something like that. I'm so excited. I love those 300-yard passing games.
Here's a hanky cleanup.
Hey, Madden can slobber.
Aikman being chased by Reggie White. Fires it for Moose Johnson at the 1. The Moose is loose.
And I'm okay too, Vern. Here's Aikman on the rollout. And Reggie's really got him here, but I think he underestimated Troy's mobility. But nobody will underestimate his arm strength. Throwing on the run here against his body, finds the Moose at about the 5, and he takes it all the way to the 1.
10 on the last play, 1st and goal, Dallas. It's Lassick and Johnson behind Aikman. It'll be Lassick. No touchdown indication. Here it comes. He gets his 3rd touchdown in a Cowboy uniform.
And he already knows what to do with the football. Take it over to the sidelines and give it to the equipment man, Mr. Buchanan. He's going to paint it up for him, put it on the mantle.
Buck Buchanan has been the equipment manager for the Dallas Cowboys since 1973. And ultimately, Lassick will give him the ball.
He's looking for him, too. Somebody take the ball. The assistant equipment guy gets it.
Right.
He's only a rookie.
Murray. Extra point is good.
The most potent offense in football. They can bring a rookie off the bench to replace Emmitt Smith. The results are pretty much the same.
You haven't met today. Number 19, John Jett. He's the Cowboys punter. Heading straight out of this stadium, getting in the car and going home. He hasn't punted once.
He's going to conserve some water, doesn't even have to shower.
Here's the kickoff by Eddie Murray. Robert Brooks out to the 22-yard line, where James Washington makes the tackles. Brett Favre comes back in. His team now trailing by a bundle, 36-14.
Talked about offensive touches and how many opportunities each player will get. Pretty good balance all the way down the line for the Cowboys. And for the Packers, this is just too much here for the fullback Bennett.
First down and 10. Backs are split. John Stevens has been on the bench for this half. Thompson has taken his place. Here's the sweep with Thompson. Frank Winters in front. And that will more than double or almost double the previous number of yards the Packers had picked up on the ground. That was a gain of 11. They had 6. So they just about doubled it. It'll be first and 10. 36-14, 10:55 remaining in the game. Brett Favre slides down at the 41-yard line. They might give him the 42.
Favre grew up being a big Cowboy fan and a big fan of number 12, Roger Staubach. Did a Staubach imitation that time.
Staubach, one of those whose name one finds in the Ring of Honor here, the newest inductee to the Ring of Honor, ends a turbulent relationship between Tom Landry and the current ownership. Landry will be inducted into the Ring of Honor November 7th when his former team, the Giants, play here against the Cowboys. Ball is out to the 45-yard line. Whoops. 4-3 Atlanta over Colorado.
And then still in the top of the 7th with the Rockies batting.
Go Rockies, huh, Dan? And of course later this afternoon the Giants play the Dodgers in baseball. If both Atlanta and San Francisco win, there's a one-game playoff tomorrow night. And of course the League Championship Series began Tuesday on CBS with Toronto at Chicago. That's Tuesday night. Favre across the middle. And the catch is made at the 49-yard line. Ken Norton and Dixon Edwards make the tackle.
Now here the Packers are trailing by 22 yards, and they're still not going down the field with the passing game. You got 9 minutes to go. You got nothing to lose. You got to start going for the home run for the touchdowns.
Second down from the 50. Second and 6. Favre is 18 of 31, but a modest 151 yards. Jackie Harris makes the grab at the 42. That's a first down. Well, the Packers do go back home next week. They take on Denver. Mike Holmgren's team, he said last week, was so disappointing to him, and he was angry all week long about the way they lost. He finally on Wednesday called his former boss and mentor Bill Walsh at Stanford, and they had a chat, and Walsh tried to give him a little philosophy to live by to get through the loss, and it didn't help much. Here's Thompson going right. Well, we showed you the score. Let's see what's happening visually. Here's Greg Gumbel again on baseball. That is not Greg Gumbel. That is Darrell Thompson. And we'll get to the baseball update as soon as we can. That's Emmitt Smith. Second and 7. 36-14, 7:43 to go. Favre finds Ed West, his tight end. That's another first down at the 30-yard line. Now let's try a second time. Back to New York. Here's Greg.
All right.
36-14 in the football game here. Dallas over Green Bay, and the Packers have a first down and 10. Favre is back. Screen pass left side. That's a little too high for Edgar Bennett.
Yeah, the Packers are still looking for that magical win number 500 in their history. Looking at for it for a few weeks now. Not going to get much easier. You mentioned the fact that they have to play Denver next week at home. They do have a bye, and they're getting some help from their next opponent after that, Tampa, today. They're beating the Lions. So you expect this race, as it seems like every year in the NFC Central, to be like a 9-7, 10-6. But the problem is that only one team seems to make it into the playoffs because of those records.
Here's Favre, pumps once, goes deep, mix up on the pass pattern, and it's incomplete. Robert Brooks took a post route. Brett Favre threw it for the corner. I think he was trying to come back for it.
And I'm not so sure that shouldn't be been called illegal contact by Larry Brown. It was a slant and go move by Brooks. And after the slant move, Brown chucked him well beyond the 5 yards down the field. Watch at the bottom of the screen. Brooks is going to come in and then out. And now watch the contact right there. That's illegal contact. What are the officials looking at?
Not that one. Here's the blitz. Favre across the middle, tipped by Bates. Incomplete. Billy Bates, who had very serious knee surgery last year. Many thought he'd never play again. He came back, and this summer, in his 30s, and he was never fast, ran the fastest 40 time he'd ever posted.
He ran a 4.5. He told me that he worked 9 hours a day, 7 days a week, pointing for training camp, and that time when they would time him in the 40 and also lift weights. He says that was my Olympics, the training camp, and he has proven that he can still contribute, coming back from that devastating knee injury, and be a big part of this team.
On fourth down, Favre chased by Jeffcoat. Well, you've just seen back-to-back plays by two of the oldest Cowboys. Jim Jeffcoat, a #1 draft choice of this team in 1983, and Billy Bates, a free agent on this team in 1983.
And a youngster who is 7 days away from his 24th birthday, going through some of the growing pains of being a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Loss of 22, Cowboys ball.
Football League is sponsored by Cadillac and your Cadillac dealer, creating a higher standard. Little Caesars Pizza, where you always get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price. Hilton Hotels, so nice to come home to. And by Ally Signals Autolite Spark Plugs, guaranteed for 2 years no matter how far you go.
Cowboys have Jason Garrett in at quarterback. Troy Aikman done for the day. And here's a one-time Princeton quarterback handing off to Derek Lassick. Jason Garrett, who spent last year on the practice squad for the Cowboys. He participated with San Antonio in the World League, played collegiately with his brother Judd at Princeton. Their dad is a coach and a former coach and now a Cowboy scout. He was thought to be a prospect for the 3rd team quarterback spot this year, but played so well in preseason that he beat out Hugh Millen, who was signed for a lot of money as a backup out of New England. Jason Garrett, 2 for 4 for the season. May not get a chance to throw today. Here's Lassick. Cowboys will work on the clock, and Lassick is triple teamed. Well, let's keep you posted on what's happening in Atlanta with baseball. Once again, here's Greg.
All right, Vern, just like that, things have...
In my partner's heart.
Yeah, quit bringing up those Atlanta highlights here. If I'm going to root for the Giants, I don't want to see that. I've been a Rockies fan for years.
Yes, you have, or at least since April. 3rd down. Here's Garrett trying to come right. Gogan provides him with a block, and he passes it to Michael Irvin, who's made a ton of grabs today. It's Tyrone Williams, I beg your pardon, number 86.
That's the big bird at 6'5". He's bigger than Harper and Williams.
Well, here's the offensive line of the Green Bay Packers. Ken Rutgers in the middle of the bunch. It's been a very long day. And on 4th down, here is John Jett to punt for the first time this afternoon. Terrell Buckley is back to return it nice and high. Fair catch called by Buckley. Makes the grab at the 18. He's had fumble problems like Kevin Williams has. Dropped one last week. There's also a flag down back at the line of scrimmage. Reggie White in the middle of that picture.
And you know he would like to see number 90 return to the Green Bay defense. Tony Bennett take some of that heat off of Reggie. And Bennett can provide it.
Here's Tom White.
Holding number 40 on the kicking team. 10 yards. Still 4th down.
Holding call is on Bill Bates. Just to update you on the Tony Bennett story, if you missed the NFL today, he was on with Greg and Terry and said that there had been nothing new this week or late this week. And of course, Ron Wolf told us last week that he expected a long, drawn-out procedure. He didn't look forward to Bennett getting back in uniform quickly. Here's Jett. And Buckley will let this one go. And it's going to drop and be down inside the 10 at the 7-yard line. 53-yard punt. And a new quarterback coming on for the Green Bay Packers, Ty Detmer.
Coca-Cola presents.
For our doubleheader, others of you will see Minnesota and the 49ers or New Orleans and the Rams. Ty Detmer is in quarterback now. The Heisman Trophy winner at Brigham Young, and he hands it off to Darrell Thompson, who goes right across the 10 and into the arms of John Roper. Here's Ty Detmer in his 2nd year with the Packers. Played high school ball 200 miles south of here in San Antonio, Texas.
You talked about how Jason Garrett beat out Hugh Millen for the 2nd job. Well, Detmer beat out a pretty formidable quarterback this summer, Ken O'Brien, for the 2nd quarterback job.
And it's a 2nd down and 5. Detmer back to throw across the middle, caught, and that's close for the 1st down yardage. Brett Favre, who winds up today with 173 yards on 21 of 37. Beginning the day, here's the way the picture looked in the Central.
Yeah, it looks like Detroit's going to go to 2 losses there. Minnesota's later. Chicago, they're on top, so we'll give them 2 wins. Bad for Green Bay, though, and Tampa's going to get off the schneid and get their first win of the 93 season. So it's going to be that way all year long. It is that way, it seems like, every year. Surprising, though, that Detroit falls to a team that was winless before today.
Prior to today, and if they do wind up losing, the only Lion loss was on the road at New Orleans. There's the update. 24-10. Reggie Cobb with 109 yards. Chicago continues to lead. Billy Joe Tolliver has taken Bobby Hebert's place. Montana pulled a hamstring and left that game, and Kansas City rolling over the Raiders.
That will really change, though, the complexion of the AFC West if Montana is out for any length of time.
Michael Irvin, 7 catches, 155 yards today. Packers try the middle on 3rd and 1, and we'll see if they got the 1st down. Reggie White, his team winners in his first game in Green Bay, 36-6. Well, this one won't have the impact emotionally that the last 2 had. The last-minute losses to Minnesota and to Philadelphia. This game is presented by authority of the National Football League, and this CBS telecast is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the expressed written consent of CBS, the Dallas Cowboys, and the National Football League is prohibited. 1st and 10. Detmer back. Comes left side, caught by Robert Brooks all the way out to the 42-yard line. in front of Larry Brown. That's another first down as we reach the 3-minute mark.
But the Packers knew that they were in trouble today, though, with the Cowboys having a bye last week, and then, of course, the emotional uplift they received with Emmitt Smith signing before the Phoenix game. All the talk was that the Cowboys were back to being how they felt at the end of last year when they won the Super Bowl.
Well, what's your sense of where Dallas is? We'll get to that after the first down 10 play as Detmer is back to throw again. He goes deep right side, man-for-man coverage from Kevin Smith, and the ball is incomplete, intended for Sterling Sharp.
I think the Cowboys right now are the best team in the NFL. Even though they're only 2-2, they're healthy. On offense, they've got Aikman, who is just red hot. 2 weeks in a row now. He's been well over 75% in completions, had 300 yards passing today. And you see they got a tough schedule, though, coming up, especially with San Francisco, Philly, and the Giants. But the health of their team, they're both mentally and physically, is just top-notch.
2nd and 10. Screen pass. Thompson tackled Kenneth Gant. That's a loss of 3. How about Troy Aikman's day? 18 of 23 for 317 yards. And that's on the heels of a 21 of 27 day last week, or 2 weeks ago. We have reached the 2-minute warning. The Cowboys will win it. They lead 36-40. As you may have gathered throughout the afternoon, a rather ardent Giant fan.
On one knee, too.
3rd down. Boy, I really look forward to going down and doing the Atlanta Falcons and the reception you'll get in the Southeast if we go down there.
Well, they'll be chopping at me. I know that.
4th down. And Brian Wagner's on to punt. Kevin Williams back to return it. Cowboys will go to 2-2 and go on the road at Indianapolis, then back here against the 49ers in 2 weeks. Here's Wagner's punt. Nice and high, and chases Williams all the way back inside the 10. At the 7. Bates provides a block. Williams breaks it out to the 25-yard line. Tackle was made by Dexter McNabb. 1:42 remaining in regulation. 36-14 Dallas. On the first down play, the Cowboys hand it off, and they get the ball out to the 25-yard line. It was Derek Gainer, number 39, with a carry. Here are the members of the Ring of Honor. Jason Garrett wearing number 17, which was once worn by Don Meredith. Bob Lilly, number 74. Don Perkins, who played in the early days with Meredith, 61 to 68. Roger Staubach and Leroy Jordan. And their coach was Tom Landry, and he goes into the Ring of Honor here at Texas Stadium on the 7th of November when the New York Giants come to town.
That's really a nice thing that they have here at Texas Stadium, and a lot of stadiums and teams around the league have copied that. They do the same thing in Arrowhead and in Denver, and I think it's important to remember the players that played for so many years and played so well for each organization.
Mike Holmgren's team is going to go 1-3. Jimmy Johnson's is going to go 2-2. The Cowboys at Indianapolis next, and the Green Bay Packers back home against Denver next Sunday night. Our game today produced by Michael Burks and directed by Andy J. Kindle. The coordinating producer of the NFL Today is Eric Mann. Directed by Larry Cavallina. The senior producer of the NFL on CBS is Ed Gorin. And the executive in charge of production is Rick Gentile. Jimmy Johnson and Mike Holmgren. The Cowboys win it. Eddie Murray with 5 field goals. Bill Bates with a couple of special teams tackles. So for Dan Fouts, I'm Vern Lundquist saying so long from Dallas, where our final score was the Cowboys winning at 36-14. Coming up next on...
have won the toss. They'll start with the football. And Robert Brooks, who had a 95-yard return against Dallas, is on his way. Brooks to the 40, to the 30, and Brooks takes it all the way to the 22-yard line. That looks so similar to the 95-yard return he had against Dallas. This one went 68.
You know, Gary, we were talking to Reggie White yesterday and said, you know, our offense and defense haven't played very well, but if we play as well as our special teams, we have a chance. And the special teams, coached by Nolan Cromwell, have done a remarkable job this year for the Green Bay Packers. Second week in a row, we got in a row they've had a big return, a good key block on the wedge, and Brooks probably should have scored there.
And Brett Favre, who they hope to calm down a little bit. He is so pumped up, celebrating his 24th birthday today. He had a brilliant season last year, went to the Pro Bowl, struggling with the blitz. He's been a little bewildered. We'll see how that develops tonight. He'll start things off by giving the football to John Stevens. And Stevens gets inside the 20, just inside the 20, to the 19-yard line. So Brett Favre, tough. Good work ethic, strong arm, thought to be the cornerstone of this team for years to come.
And Mike Holmgren says our offense is a quarterback-driven offense. For us to win, our quarterback has to play very well.
Second down and 8 for the Packers from the 19. Serving Sharp comes in motion. Favre looks at him, gets it to him. Sharp makes the move, and he's very close to the first down. He needed to get to the 11.5-yard line. And let's take a look at tonight's American Airlines starting lineups. And in that backfield, Bennett and Stevens, two big bruisers back there. Sharp, who had 108 catches a year ago. Clayton, the former Miami Dolphin. And up front, we documented the changes. 3 new starters up front. And as Pat has said, it's awfully hard to have some continuity in that circumstance. Third down and a yard to go. It'll be Stevens. Stevens does not get the first down. He did not slam it up there. He tried to bounce to the outside. That may have cost him the first down.
Well, one of the inside linebackers, I think, stuffed the lead blocker, Edgar Bennett.
So it should be a fourth down. They're looking to the far side of the field. And Mike Holmgren has a fourth down, it appears, coming up.
And you know, when you're 1-3, I think you take some chances like this, but you always ask for a measurement. If you're a quarterback, you always want to know how far, if you're short at all, you want to know exactly how short you are.
Well, the Packers have been very successful this year on fourth downs. They are 4 of 5. And this could be awfully big in this football game if they wouldn't get it here, if they elect to go for it. I don't think they have it because Stevens didn't bounce it up. And there it is. You can see how short they are. Well, Mike Holmgren in his second year, getting to make a big decision early in a game.
You know, it's a young football team. You're 1-3. You're playing at home. You go for it.
You can see how much they need. The Packers have had a tough time establishing a running game. They've had only 36 yards against Dallas. They were going to go more to 3 wideouts and a single back through the course of this game. But right now, they got to slug it out.
And if you're a Denver defensive player right now, you don't get suckered into a hard count. No offsides, no easy first downs.
4th and 1.
Fourth down and less than a yard. Chigurh comes in motion, handoff to Bennett. Bennett fighting for it. I don't know. That was Dave Wyman, the former Seattle Seahawk, who was there to make the stop. We'll wait to see if they got the first down. The Broncos, Steve Atwater, said they didn't.
When you play against this Denver defense, you're not only playing against inside linebackers, you're playing against some safeties in Atwater and Smith that play like linebackers. Very tough short yardage team, the Denver Broncos.
There's the other guy you were talking about, Dennis Smith. Here comes the measurement. It's either going to be the Broncos football or first down at the 11. Oh, they got it by what? From our angle, you couldn't even tell. It was so close.
Yeah, this is Edgar Bennett, and number 57, Dave Wyman, is the guy who gets in there first. I mean, 57 in the white jersey, and then it was Dennis Smith, the strong safety, again playing like a linebacker.
So Holmgren's gamble pays, and they have it first down at the 11. So that 68-yard kickoff return, and now our first down at the 11 of Denver. Whoops. Firing through. Shane Dronette, the left defensive end. Let's see if he was drawn off. Wasn't very subtle about it.
No, and I saw one official, it took him about 15 seconds to throw a flag. I was wondering what took him so long.
Not that cold here, is it?
No, I couldn't get double clutch. Couldn't get that flag out.
Larry Nemmers, our referee.
Full start prior to the snap. Number 68, offense, 5 yards, still first down.
That is Joe Sims who's getting the starting call. There's Dronette along with Cragen. Oshiden, quite a story about him. The two outside linebackers, Kroll and Fletcher, are outstanding. And we talked about the safety, Smith and Atwater. Pat was saying they're like linebackers. 1st and 15 now after the penalty. This is the initial drive of the game. Favre got time. End zone broken up nicely. That was a play by Atwater. Atwater in the back of the end zone was Mark Clayton, the intended receiver.
You know, I think that's what makes Atwater an unusual player in that he can play like a linebacker like we just talked about, but he's got some subtlety about him. He's got some finesse. He's got a feel for the game. You know, there's a lot of big hitters in the league, but few guys who can be big hitters and then turn around on the next play and make a subtle play like that. I mean, he is a unique free safety in the league.
Denver has not given up a touchdown in the first quarter of play thus far this year. 2nd down, 15. Favre to Sharp. Sharp, so strong, trying to wrestle further up the field. Tyrone Braxton never did get him down, and here comes a flag. Braxton was hanging on, and Sharp, showing how strong he is, would not go down. So let's see what this is all about. Sharp actually got about 3 yards.
Number 99 will go half the distance from the end of the run, first down.
Half a distance from the end of the run.
This is, let's look at this. It's Dronette who is involved in this.
Again, the thing that the yards after the catch are the key thing. The Denver Broncos.
So the whistle's blown here, I think. And so half the distance to the goal.
That's not a penalty. I don't know what they're calling a penalty on that for. They called it on Dronette, their number 99, but that shouldn't have been a penalty.
Well, what it does, it gives them a first down, half the distance to the goal, and it's at the 6.5-yard line.
One of the key defensive matchups too, Gary, is Tyrone Braxton against Sterling Sharp. Somewhere in this game, Tyrone Braxton is going to bait Brett Favre and try to pick a ball off.
3 straight games the Packers have scored in their opening series. A lot of movement. They look like they'd like to come after Favre. That's what they want to show. Favre rolling far side. Completion to Sterling Sharp. He's inside the 5 to the 3. It'll be 2nd and goal there.
Well, we said at the very beginning of this broadcast, the coaches of the Packers said, hey, we're not going to kid ourselves anymore and try to spread the ball around. We're going to get it to our best offensive player, that is Sterling Sharp. And they've thrown the ball to him now 3 times. And then what they're really trying to do is get the ball to him out in the flat and have him break a tackle, because he is a very difficult receiver to bring down.
2nd and goal at the 4. Dexter McNabb in the backfield. Favre near side. Couldn't connect with Sterling Sharp, and Tyrone Braxton was there. Braxton has studied so much film. In fact, he's going to kind of lull him into something. He'd like to pick off one. He has 2 interceptions already this year.
And Braxton was talking to us yesterday saying that, you know, I'm going to lay off Sterling Sharp a little bit. I'm going to wait for Brett Favre to call a quick out, an audible, and then I'm going to jump the route. And if I jump it and intercept it, I'm gone.
So it's 3rd and goal, officially marked at the 3-yard line. It's actually between those areas, the 3 and the 4. This is Stevens, no place to go, so they come to a 4th down again, and that'll mean Chris Jackie to attempt the field goal. So pretty good defense by this Denver team after being stunned with that 68-yard kickoff return.
Yeah, the defensive team really did their job for the Denver Broncos. The special teams give up a big return. There's Ernie Stoddard, defensive line coach for the Denver Broncos. They did their job, their defense, forcing the field goal attempt.
Chris Jackie will come in and attempt a 23-yarder. He had hit 9 in a row before missing one last week. Out of the hold of Wagner, and they're going to hold this one up. Every flag out of every official's pocket came out of there at the same time. Seemingly, the Packers have had this ball forever. It's 10:36 left on this drive. Still don't have any points.
Prior to the snap, number 74, offense, 5 yards, still 4th down.
That is Doug Wydell, one of the two Waddell brothers who are playing in this game. Both of them getting the starting call. Dave will be starting at left guard when the Broncos get the ball. So this is going to back it up now. This will be a 28-yard attempt. Packers trying to take the lead at the 10:35 mark. Wagner holds, and the kick by Jackie is right down the middle. So Green Bay, with a 68-yard kickoff return, gets 3 points out of it. 3-0 for the Pack.
The Packers didn't score. He's going to run an out route, but Charles Dimry stays here and then just tackles him. No yards after the catch. That's one of the key things for the Denver Broncos tonight. Sharp is going to catch his passes, but you have to tackle him after the catch, and Dimry did a nice job of forcing him down. Otherwise, he breaks that tackle, he scores a touchdown.
You know what's significant? He only weighs 170 pounds. Dimry is undersized, but he certainly doesn't have a small heart. You can see that stuff. Jackie kicking off. Del Pino along with Glenn Milburn back deep. And here comes the exciting rookie out of Stanford, bringing it up to the 20-yard line.
That wasn't so exciting.
No. So John Elway with his new offense coming in. He's having a lot of fun, very confident. He's been completing 67% of his passes. And all these numbers have really been going through the roof. He's always been a great talent, but very happy now.
Yeah, he is. And the idea, the concept of this offensive philosophy is get a 15-yard gain, Gary, without a 15-yard pass.
So the Broncos with their first snap of the ball game. Derek Russell will go in motion for Denver. Pitch to Rod Bernstein. Bernstein, hurdles his way into the arms of Leroy Butler. And dropped at the 27-yard line. Okay, let's take a look now at the American Airlines offensive lineup. We just mentioned Bernstein. Vance Johnson, who was cut, came back and joined this team. Shannon Sharp, of course, that's Sterling's younger brother, and what a battle they're going to have this year. We'll talk further about that. Zimmerman, Waddell, the other brother. We have a dual family reunion going on here tonight. 2nd down and 4. Elway with a lot of time. Up the field. Tony Kimbrell, who's the fastest player on this team. You haven't heard much about him. He made one catch last week out of Jackson State, a rookie, could not hang on. Defensively for Green Bay, they've had some people missing. And one of those guys is Bill Moss at nose, and he will not play tonight. They've lost Brian Noble to knee surgery, and also Tony Bennett has not signed. And this secondary, they think Leroy Butler is playing at a Pro Bowl caliber, and George Teague with his first start, the rookie from Alabama. 3rd down 4. Somebody in his face that time. Elway had some pressure coming, trying to hit over the far side, the tight end Reggie Johnson. Incomplete. It brings up 4th down. And so the Broncos are 3 and out. And Tom Ruin will come in and punt. And Terrell Buckley, an exciting returner, goes back for Green Bay. 3-0, the Packers. 9:35 to go in the first quarter. Ruin hits it high, but not especially long. They're going to let it hit. And down by Kimbrell at the 35, and here's another flag. So Kimbrell was down there quickly after a 38-yard punt. But let's sort this one out. Ruin, the former Colorado punter. One thing about punting in this area is we listen now to Larry Nimmers.
By the kicking team player, number 80, who was out of bounds, returned and was the first player to touch the kick.
2nd week in a row we've seen
Penalty
that.
is refused, 1st down.
We understand that one now, don't we?
2nd week in a row.
But I started to say, when you punt in the Central Division, you better be able to punt well, because the weather doesn't look as good as it does tonight most of the season. Defender Pat Hayden, glad to have you with us at this historic site. The most unique franchise in the NFL, Green Bay Packers. Population 96,000, but it becomes a lot bigger when you put 60,000 here in this beautiful facility. And from the 35, Favre with the ball for the second time, leading 3-0. They go to 3 wideouts, single running back in Stevens. Favre has time, and Sterling Sharp with his 4th catch of the night. That'll be a gain of 5 just across the 40. And coming over is Tyrone Braxton to make the tackle.
Well, Brett Favre now has thrown 6 passes. All his completions have gone to Sharp, 4 of those. And of the 6 passes, 5 of them have been directed at Sharp. So the coaches weren't kidding when they said, hey, we're not going to kid around anymore. We're going to get the ball to Sterling Sharp.
We don't care if they say we're right-handed. We'll just go if he's in the right-handed area. They wanted to spread it out, but they're going to their big playmakers. 2nd and 5. This time to Stevens. Stevens has got a block, and Stevens has a first down. All the way to the 48. That's got to be encouraging to Mike Holmgren because they have not been able to run the football.
Yeah, the start of this game has to be encouraging to Mike Holmgren. They've run the ball there well, as you just said, Gary. They've got a big special teams play so far. Their defense forced a 3-and-out by Denver. So thus far, clearly early in the first quarter with a 3-0 lead, Mike Holmgren has to be happy with the way this game has started.
They script those plays to start of the game. It's worked so effectively, but after they've started games is where they've really fallen off. First down at the 48. Hector Bennett thunders ahead for a first down all the way to the 39-yard line of Denver. That's an 11-yard run, and Bennett is the guy who is a kind of a tweener. He's not big enough to play fullback in some ways, maybe not elusive enough to get outside, but he's a good package, a complete player who can catch the ball very well coming out of the backfield.
And here we talked about the blitz. Watch, they're going to see a lot of the blitz. Now, the Packers come back with a little draw, which is a good call against it. Dennis Smith, the strong safety, got started a little bit late, but Brett Favre is going to see a lot of that tonight.
First down to the 40, play action fake by Favre. Favre has his man from the side. It's Mark Clayton, and Clayton with his first catch of the night. That's a first down at the 25-yard line. The all-time leading receiver for the Miami Dolphins with that 15-yard grab.
There's a guy, 81 touchdown receptions with the Dolphins. But again, he should get some single coverage, and that's one of the subplots tonight, Gary. Mark Clayton, this time against Dimry. Now that's twice Dimry has slipped. Once when he was trying to block tackle Sharp, that time Mark Clayton. But Mark Clayton should be a guy that's going to get one-on-one coverage and should break open tonight.
Okay, thus far the line's doing a good job for Favre. From the 25, first down. He gets rid of it this time to Robert Brooks, and Brooks will be dropped short of the 20-yard line. Speaking about Brett Favre, we were talking to the coaches. They've had him off of coffee. They won't let him take this energy drink that he has because he's so hyper. He is so intense. They're trying to slow him down a little bit.
Yeah, he's got the metabolism of a hummingbird. You know, he's always going a million miles a minute, and they really are trying to calm him down, to slow him down. That's been part of the problem on the blitz reads. He gets so excited. He knows what he wants to do, but the receivers aren't quite ready for the throw.
2nd and 6. Jackie Harris, the tight end in motion, quick pitch to Bennett. Bennett's got a hole, and then it closes. Looked like he had first down running room, and all of a sudden it closed down because Dave Wyman closed on him. This is the guy who started last year for Seattle, replacing Michael Brooks at that inside linebacker spot.
Yeah, Charlie Waters, defensive coordinator, Denver, said at the beginning of the year they were real concerned about their inside linebackers, but Dave Wyman has come on and really played well for Michael Brooks. He plays the weak inside linebacker, which means he plays on the weak side of the formation, and so he should run and make a lot of plays on the move, just like he did there.
3rd down and 3 yards to go. Sharp comes in motion. Favre sprinting right into Simon Fletcher. Got away from him. Breaks the tackle from Wyman. He's to the 10. The 5 dives. And they're going to mark it short of the goal line. What an effort by Brett Favre. A 17-yard scamper to the far side. And he ran into all kinds of trouble and somehow ran out of it.
Well, these are the kind of plays that got people excited about Brett Favre last year. No, number 57 in the middle of your screen is Wyman. He's blitzing. So is Mecklenburg. The 2 inside linebackers blitz. Now, he did a terrific job as Rutgers, number 75, pushed his guy out of it, and Favre just spins out of it and has pretty good speed. He may have gotten in there. That ball may have crossed.
Anyway, it's 1st and goal at the half-yard line. The Packers trying to build their 3-0 lead. Hand off to Stevens. Stevens fights in. The ball is loose, but he's been given the touchdown. It broke the plane of the goal. The ball coming loose does not matter. And the Packers have gotten off to a remarkable start. 9-0.
Well, you know, they started fast against Philadelphia in week 2 and lost. They've actually lost 2 very close games, but I mean, this is something you got to keep and continue to maintain. But they've done everything well, offensively, defensively, special teams.
And seemingly have been down at this end of the field the entire first quarter, as Denver's had it only 3 snaps. Jackie to attempt the point after. He's hit 95 in a row. He is 4 away from Paul Horning's record of 99. At the 5-10 mark, trying to make it 10-0. And Jackie has now hit 96 in a row. 10-0. The Packers, a team, as Pat mentioned, has been stunned with 2 late losses, getting off the mark effectively here. Trying to break a 3-game losing streak and stay in the race in the NFC Central. From New England for a 4th-round draft pick with a touchdown. That's the first rushing touchdown given up by this Denver Bronco team. The first touchdown they've given up in the first quarter this year. And Wade Phillips' team down 10-0. It'll be Glenn Milburn. Milburn will get out to the 23, and the Packers with good coverage that time.
A fumble
was there a fumble on the far side?
They tried to grab the ball out of Milburn's arm, I know.
And they're saying it is the Packers football as Milburn disappeared on the far sideline, and coming out of there is George Teague, the rookie, with the ball. What a break for the Packers. They're going to have it at the 22-yard line.
Yeah, the special teams of Green Bay, 2 big plays. Now, rookie against rookie, Milburn against Teague. I mean, first of all, he fights. I mean, he's getting hammered by a blocker, fights through that blocker and takes it away. That's a great special teams play by Teague.
What did they say? They wanted George Teague in there to make a big play. Yeah, he's made one.
They've got it. They've got 2 of them now out of special teams, Gary.
Remember the Sugar Bowl against Miami? The 2 big plays he made in that? He was their 2nd first-round draft pick. And it's going to set it up at the 22-yard line. First down, Packers. John Stevens. This time will be hit by Mike Kroll. Can't get much on that one. Maybe a yard. It'll bring up 2nd down.
Well, here we are with about 4:50 left in the first quarter, Gary, and Denver has only had 3 offensive plays. Now, they're down. The Broncos are down 10-0. Here's where Wade Phillips' defense once again have to make a play. I mean, at least force the field goal attempt. Because the way this team is playing, the Packers are playing right now, they are playing very confidently here at home. They're not looking like a 1-3 team.
That's right. They came in here a desperate team, losing 3 in a row. Started the year the favorites in the NFC Central. 5 with time over the middle, and Jackie Harris was bumped off the play. He did not get to the football. He was tangled up with Dennis Smith and also Tyrone Braxton, so no one close to the ball, and it's going to bring up a 3rd down.
Well, one of the things we said was how was Brett Favre going to handle the blitz, and some of that's dependent upon the offensive line. That time, Steve Atwater, the free safety, came and blitzed, but the offensive line did a terrific job. The offensive line did a terrific job of giving Favre a chance to throw it.
Charlie Waters, of course, the outstanding player for the Dallas Cowboys. And now the defensive coordinator for Wade Phillips. 3rd down and virtually 10 yards to go. Bennett and Stevens in the backfield. Stevens comes in motion. Favre's got time. On target, Sterling Sharp, and Sharp fighting for the first down. He's got it as he is inside the 12 where he needed to go.
When you watch Sterling Sharp play and catch the ball, Gary, he does not bobble the ball. He attacks the ball. He doesn't wait for the ball to get to him. He is the slot man, number 84. He's going to run a little hook route. And watch how quickly, as soon as he catches it, he turns. And he's very good after the catch because he said to us yesterday, I know where people are coming from. I know where the angles are. And he also knows when he picks up the first down.
Yeah, he pointed towards Appleton, which is south of here. First down now. Packers with a 10-0 lead. A little pass near side, Sterling Sharp. He is getting a workout, and he's got the ball to the 6. Now, he and his brother Shannon have a $20,000 bet as to who will catch the most passes this season. And right now, Shannon Sharp has got to get very nervous standing on the sideline watching his older brother.
They've only had 3 three plays. You know, and as Sterling told us yesterday, I get off the bus and I've already got 7 passes.
Well, he's got 6 right now. He got off the bus, got 1 more to go, and he can get back on it, right?
Yeah. No, I think he's looking for a big evening.
2nd and 5. Look at the time of possession. Those 3 snaps didn't take very long. Yankee Harris comes in motion. Gronett ran right by the ball carrier Stevens. He stayed on his feet and maybe got back to the line of scrimmage. And then Willie Osibin, who is a Nigerian by birth, was over to make the stop. Gronett a little upset as he just went right by the ball carrier.
Yeah, Gronett is a little upset with himself. I think he thought that maybe Favre had kept the ball on a bootleg, because he just ran right by the ball carrier and had a clean shot at him.
Nice contact, but didn't see anything.
The key defensive play here now for Denver. They've got to step to the plate and force the field goal attempt.
On a 3rd and 6. Sharp comes in motion. Favre looking his way. Dumps it over the middle instead, and the catch is made. Diving is Bennett, and Bennett is just short of the goal line. Edgar Bennett, who had 8 catches last week, 14 in the last 2 weeks, just short of the goal line, but it's 1st and goal, Green Bay.
Edgar Bennett, Gary, has a real nice feel for the game. And Brett Favre, you know, maybe they have calmed him down, because he has shown an awful lot of poise tonight under a heavy rush by Simon Fletcher, one of the outside linebackers. He just got a nice little touch over his arms to his back Bennett.
Favre is 9 of 12, 61 yards. 1st and goal. Sharp comes in motion, hand to Bennett. Bennett did not get in. Was he hammered on that play?
He wasn't even close to getting in.
He got almost flipped on the play as he tried to crack it up the middle. Now, Bennett, again, is not that big a running back by some standards. He weighs in at about 210, 215. That time, he didn't get anything. He may have lost some. Well, they're about where they started. It'll be 2nd and goal from there.
Well, remember, this is not a great running team, the Green Bay Packers. They have 3 new offensive linemen starting tonight, and that makes it very difficult on short yardage and goal line.
Bennett, Stevens, the 2 backs. It's Bennett again, trying to go wide, being chased. He gets out of the grasp of Mecklenburg and scores a touchdown. And Wade Phillips has to be stunned. $16-0 Green Bay, and the first visit ever to Lambeau Field by the Broncos in the regular season is not going real well right now.
Good lead block by John Stevens that really opened the way for Edgar Bennett to score.
Jackie now to try to hit his 97th in a row, and now he's 2 away from Paul Hornung's record.
Watch the block by number 32, the lead back. When you get a lead block that control the corner of the defense like that, you can get into the corner of the end zone. Stevens clears the way for Edgar Bennett.
Hey.
There he is.
That's great. That's great. Glenn Milburn now, who fumbled the last one, is going to bring this one up. And he's going to be dropped to the 22. There's a flag on the play.
Tell you what, Gary, the Green Bay Packers special teams have set the tone for this football game. I mean, they have played exceptionally well tonight. You know, the kickoff return by Brooks, the fumble recovery by Teague, and they're not giving up any yardage to Glenn Milburn on the kickoff returns.
Going to bring this one back to illegal use of the hands.
Holding, number 38, on the run back. 10 yards from the spot of the run. First down.
There's your old roommate, Nolan Cromwell.
Nolan Cromwell, a flash from Kansas.
Ransom, Kansas, who was your teammate with the Los Angeles Rams. He was a quarterback at Kansas and a defensive back in the NFL.
Yeah, he was a great player, and now he's off to a great start as a special teams coach.
They're going to start this drive now from the 12, trailing 17-0. Elway to Delpino, and you can see the Packers are playing now with great intensity. Good reaction by George Kuntz, number 53.
Well, you know, the Denver Broncos have been a very good team at home, Gary, but they have not been particularly good on the road. Now, the Packers have played well tonight and deserved the 17-point lead. But right now, John Elway, who's had a lot of comebacks in his career, there you see the road record. He's going to have to get something on the board here. He's going to have to get some play, a ball to Shannon Sharp.
4 plays for a total of 6 yards for Denver at this stage with 14 seconds left in the quarter. Elway in trouble. Fights off of it, incomplete. He had pressure coming. Bryce Pop was in his face, and Elway is 0 for 3. And Denver right now needs something to jumpstart their offense.
Well, John Elway has jump-started their offense, so many times. And I think the situation right now is where Elway is better than anybody. The 3rd and 10. The third down quarterback. He's been a great third down quarterback and a 2-minute drill quarterback. And this is where he can be better than any quarterback in the NFL. Moving around, making something happen.
3rd and long. You see the percentages. It's 3rd and long here. 3rd and 10. Elway scrambling out of difficulty. And the catch is made, a remarkable catch by Vance Johnson. He goes up high as we come to the end of the first quarter. A 16-yard completion, and that gives Elway something to build on as they go to quarter number 2. 17-0, Green Bay. The second quarter, first down for Denver, trailing 17-0. Elway, 10 for Vance Johnson, and here comes the flag. He had Teague draped on him along with Terrell Buckley, and we'll have a penalty flag. Both of them almost there at the same time. In that first quarter, Pat, Green Bay had the ball 12 minutes and 50 seconds.
It's been phenomenal. And I'll tell you one thing, though, when you're playing against the Green Bay Packer defense, you still have to have a plan for Reggie White. And generally, it requires 2 blockers, 68 Freeman, and then you're going to see Milburn take a shot at him. Now, that's above the waist, so that's not an illegal block by Milburn. But Jim Fossil, the offensive coordinator, Denver, said, we have a plan for Reggie White. We're going to have 2 guys on him most of the game.
And then Vance Johnson, of course, made that great catch, the 16-yarder to end the quarter. Hand off to Del Pino. The Packer defense solid. Kuntz, the inside linebacker, first to get there.
If you're a Denver Bronco right now, Gary, you're thinking, yeah, we're down by 17 points, but you do have one of the great comeback quarterbacks in the game. And the idea here is not to get too excited. Elway's been in this position before. Clearly, he's come back and won a lot of games in his 11th year. But they have to peck away at that 17-point deficit. They can't let too many series go by without getting some points on the board.
Second down, 9 yards to go. Elway's got pressure coming. He's going to be sacked. Elway goes down. Matt Brock was there, and Elway's had such good protection. He'd had only 4 sacks previous to this after suffering 52 a year ago. That's a 7-yard loss back to the 31-yard line.
And Matt Brock should make some sacks this year. Anytime you double team a guy like Reggie White on one side, the guys who are single teamed have to come through, have to make some plays. White was there in the middle of your screen. He was doubled. Brock was single covered, and he made the sack. That's how it should happen, and that's how Reggie White can affect the team.
Third down. 17 yards to go. A flag on the play. Elway is going to be sacked again. And this time it's going to be Sean Patterson.
Yeah, I think they got Reggie White. You got Reggie White off. And, Elway was looking to go deep. He knew he had a free down. I'm surprised he didn't throw that ball deep. And he knew it. That's just what he's saying. I knew I had a guy, and I knew I had a free play.
Offside, number 92, 5 yards, still third down.
The what's significant, Pat, about this particular series is the pressure he's getting.
Yeah, you're right. Big split on the outside that time by Reggie White, who's ordinarily lined up a lot tighter.
Reggie White said this week to the coaches, he said, I'm still glad I've come here, even though we're off to a shaky start. And he is still a guy, as you mentioned, you better be aware of each snap of the ball.
Yeah, he can lift a football team even if he's not making sacks.
3rd and 11 from the shotgun. Elway flushed up, throwing, and the ball is caught by Vance Johnson. That's another remarkable catch, and that's a first down. Vance Johnson has been humbled because he was traded to Minnesota, has come back, and has tried to really come back and be a factor again.
John Elway has avoided more sacks, I think, than anybody I've ever seen. But he is getting a lot of pressure here against a defense that was really kind of average up to this time.
Wow.
There's this, yeah.
Whoa, now wait a minute.
Yeah.
Did that hit?
We got a little double dribble on that one.
Well, and they're seeing the replay here at Lambeau Field.
And they know football here, don't they? They know their football.
This is a sophisticated, knowledgeable group of people. On a first down, far side, Mitchell defending on Derek Russell. Now, Roland Mitchell was burned, quite honestly, last week by Dallas. He had a tough day against Michael Irvin. But he's such a great youngster. They feel his character will help him bounce back in this game here tonight.
Gary, I think the toughest thing for a cornerback in the NFL is to, after having a game like that, how you respond the next week or the next play after you're beaten. Now, Roland Mitchell has played well tonight, and now that last play where he knocked the ball away was really reflective of that. And that's tough after he had a rough day against Dallas.
Yes, he did. He had a long day in Texas Stadium. Second down, 10. Bernstein, the single running back. Elway. That pressure coming from Reggie White. He got rid of it. Derek Russell on the catch. And Russell's got a first down to the 22. There's a flag back at the 40. Now Reggie White hit John Elway